This is a Savage and the Sexy podcast. This is a podcast for adults. If you have kids, please lock them away. I will not tell DCF on you. You will not get a 51A.
Hide them in the basement. Basement, baby.
The Savage and the Sexy.
But don't forget to feed them.
Also, this is a content warning. Please don't lock your kids up and don't forget to feed them. We do not endorse that. Also, welcome to the Savage and the Sexy. It is your favorite not safe for work nymphs, SB and K.
Here
to make your day.
That's right.
And we are wearing onesies today, and we have a special guest. Steph, can you please tell them who our special guest is?
That's right. We do have a special guest today. We've got pro hair and makeup artist and avid listener, Mark White. That's right, Mark White. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little something about you?
I mean, you did most of it for me. I'm a pro hair and makeup artist in the Boston area. I do a lot of fashion and print work in the area, working with a lot of the beautiful models that we have in Massachusetts and New England as a whole.
And you're like killing it lately. He's
trying.
being very humble. He is like upgrading so hard right now.
Yes.
So many new exciting things going on
I'm
for
here
you.
with you guys in an EO
Hey,
onesie
let
on
me
a
upgrade
Sunday morning, just killing it.
I mean, you upgraded us because you were like, I'm wearing a onesie, and then we were just like, yes.
Mm-hmm. He brought the onesie idea, so we are extra comfy today.
Extra
thanks
comfy.
to Mark.
Extra. We got the sauce.
And he has been very kind and awesome to listen to us, so we're very grateful that you actually listen to us.
Love it. And if you want to see all this beautiful action, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and Patreon.
Please.
You can see Amanda in a sports onesie. What?
Sports. Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah.
So, Mark, I would love to know a little bit more of how you got started. Like, how did you get into this creative world?
I started probably about 10 years ago. I was telling Amanda a little bit ago about like just seeing some of the women in my life and just like, especially my moms and my aunts are really big into like makeup and fashion at that point in time and just seeing them. And I was like, damn, like I wish I could like make people feel that way. So about 10 years ago, I started doing kind of hair and makeup and I've been doing it ever since. I love it. And it's just kind of my passion at this point.
I love that.
When he was telling me his story about how, like, he sort of, because I asked him over the phone, like, how did you know that this was, like, the thing that you were passionate about, that, like, you wanted to pursue? And, like, you mentioned when you were watching your mom and, like, the woman in your life, like, kind of get ready, like, the power of transformation.
Yeah.
And how, like, you were kind of taken aback by how poignant and like just how strong it is. Yeah, it's extremely about the transformational power of makeup and like how I think I quoted you saying how it has the ability to transform your emotional appearance, which I like really stuck with me.
It's not always about makeup, isn't always about how you look. It's about how it makes you feel. And I've seen just people when they get out of my chair, they look themselves or an idealized version of themselves, but they feel amazing. And the way that they present and show themselves to the world is different and very empowering to me.
Yeah. It's kind of like you get that boost of confidence because, I mean, I think I'm a pretty person, but even just doing a simple eye and lip, I like got out of your chair and I was like, wow, I feel great. I feel like I got
I don't even look like myself. I'm like, you absolutely do. You just feel differently.
Yeah, which Mark was actually, since we brought it up, Mark did our makeup today. He did an eye and a lip for us, so we're looking
some fierce lashes.
Extra and some super fucking fierce lashes. Seriously.
Send some pictures.
Oh my god, yeah, you'll see. Check the Instagram, but just to give it a moment and to like, we feel really pretty right now.
Yes, shout out to Beth Ann Shea for Badass Lashes for providing these lashes for me.
Thank you.
Love her. Great brand. Support it, please.
These. We'll tag her on our Instagram so you guys can see all this stuff.
But it is crazy to see what a difference makeup can make because I've never really... I mean, makeup was always around me. I'm not really great. I'm pretty decent at putting my own makeup when I need to for like shoots, but like it's a whole world I'm still learning about and like all the different things you can do with it. But I think it's really awesome. Like the simplest thing of just throwing on like lip gloss can make you feel way better. And
that's the part of the job that I love the most is just, you know, like I said, the evocative nature of when you leave a chair with a hair or makeup person. Like we all know when you get that fresh cut or you get your hair done, how good you feel about yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, that was one of my favorite things about shooting and being like having the opportunity to work with so many different people and do different concepts is like you have so many chances to feel so many different ways and to step into so many different personas that you normally don't have a harder time accessing. Or it's like, when I have a really edgy, badass glam look, like I do feel different.
Yeah.
Like you have a different energy, you carry yourself differently, you talk to people more confident. At least I do. And like, it's not that I don't feel that way normally, but it's so much easier to, I feel like, access certain facets of yourself that are there all along. Like I think we talked about this, and like you just kind of bring it out of people.
Exactly.
You help people connect with those facets of themselves that maybe they don't get a chance to tap into that often.
The part of the job I love the most, it's not the photos, it's not all like the little, all the accolades. You guys say I'm doing big things, but it's really just that. Like I would be happy just doing makeup out of my little studio and just providing people with that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I feel like I get that same concept sometimes with photographs. It's like people that don't like to look at photos of themselves. Like, well, let me take a photo of you. And then they're like, oh, I actually look nice. Like, great. That's awesome. And then you have all these elements that work into it, especially as someone who doesn't do makeup. I'm just like, sometimes I do makeup and I'm like, I'm not looking great. Because I think the key is also learning like what products work for you, what shades work for you to help accentuate your natural beauty.
Right.
Which is where I definitely struggle. I'm like, what should I put on my face? I had no idea.
And I think it becomes difficult because as like consumers of makeup, there's a new product out every week, every day, every month, and it's hard to kind of decipher like what is really going to work for you and what's just shit, for lack of a better term.
It's almost like technology, like it upgrades and changes and evolves so quickly that you have a hard time like seeing which trends are actually worth investing in and which trends are worth learning and which thing is worth actually spending the money on that's going to change your face or change your game or whatever you're doing. But it's just, there's so many products that come out so quickly these days. It's very hard.
And we talked about this, but one of the products that I really want people and pro makeup artists to stop using is Milk of Magnesia. Please stop that shit. It is not. It's not for the face. Please stop using it.
So for people that aren't familiar, like Steph wasn't familiar, so like can you list off some like kind of dupes or like alternative products that you just don't agree with, and like
First,
exactly
talk about what it is and why they use it, and why it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I talked about Milk of Magnesia, and it is an anti-diarrheal, pretty much, and people are using it on the face to kind of control oil and oily skin clients. It is not for use on the face. I don't care what anybody tells me or how much I love using it or how good it works. It is not for use on the face. There are a ton of products that like are made for the face that you can use now. We talked a little bit about Preparation H, which was like had the,
because that's the one that I know.
had
I've
the community
read
in
for
a
my whole
chokehold
life.
for a while.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's not safe to use on your face.
Like, just because it's safe for your bum hole doesn't mean that you should be putting it on your face skin.
It's not safe for the face, but it's safe for your bum hole. I wouldn't even.
Luckily, I never actually like.
I've never encountered that because
I've debated trying just because, like, you go on Reddit and you're looking up makeup tips and stuff, and like everyone and their mother would be like, "Oh, instead of buying primer, use Preparation H. Preparation H. Preparation H is great." And I'm like, "All right, I've never actually done that yet, but I've heard it so many times."
Well, and like, why? You can buy a primer for
like $4.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm
Why?
like, if there was a cost benefit I kind of see or dual use, but I feel like primer isn't that expensive to get some good primer.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the real benefit of not using an actual?
Does it help? Does it help with like fine lines or something?
I mean,
like I don't. Why?
I think it's supposed to in the same way that it's supposed to help you with hemorrhoids.
Yeah, but like I'm like, is it like I don't know, like. Honestly, if you use Preparation H on your face, can you please let us know why? Like,
let us know, and then we'll scold you and say.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna shame the fuck out of you. I'm sorry.
Mark will have some words.
If your kink is getting shamed, holler at us. If you use Preparation,
we got you covered.
We'll send our cash apps though, because we don't do that for free. It's not for free.
So those are the two most popular I've heard is Preparation H and now Malcolm. Have you are there any others that you've heard of that people use for dupes or like?
With like, especially like with TikTok, I'm seeing a lot of this stuff, but like it's mostly just like things like how to do eyeliner better, like pressing a fork up against your like the corner of your eye, or like a knife to like
you put,
get a sharp wing on your eyeliner and stuff like that. I haven't seen too many like, hacks as far as like different products, but different ways to kind of get, other desired results.
Is there anything just truly absurd? That fork thing sounds pretty absurd, but anything that comes to mind.
The fork works though, and the spoon for like a cut crease, like those things have been working.
A spoon for a cut, like so do you like cover the lid?
Press the spoon over your lid and then do the shadow. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, they're like cheats to like, if you don't have the technical skill to be able to do it.
To cheat the technical skill, right. Because, cut creases do take a lot of technical ability.
I think I'd still fuck it up somehow. I'd be like, spoon, wrong spot. I don't know.
Instagram versus reality.
Yeah. That would be me. I'm like, what?
Also,
but it is interesting.
What are some dupes that you actually do approve of that you like?
I carry a lot of product dupes. I think I have a lot of clients that sit in my chair and say to me like, well, Mark, I only wear makeup 3 or 4 times a year. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a kit. So I have been personally kind of taking the time to incorporate some like more cost-effective products into my kit. One big thing is like lip gloss. I have been incorporating the Maybelline Lifter Gloss. I used to carry all of the Fenty gloss bombs that are like $24 or $26 a piece, where like the Maybelline gloss bombs are like $9, and it is a pretty legitimate dupe. I feel like
he used them on us today, and they smelled real good.
Okay, then I need to get one.
Real good.
I feel like they just copied the formula and changed it just enough so Riri doesn't sue them, but it's a good dupe.
For all of us that are kind of broke, it's nice. $20 versus $9. It's no brainer. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I used a lot of different products on you guys today, like the Morphe palettes, that are like, I think I paid $12 for the palette that I used on both of you guys. And,
Whoa, that's
the results
amazing.
are the same as like, an $80 palette or a $60 palette. So.
And like you said, like I'm broke and I didn't know the shelf life of, there's probably some palettes I should throw away. That it's like, this makeup only lasts so long. And if you're only really doing your own makeup 3 or 4 times, then you're spending like $80 on a palette that you're going to use 4 times.
That can only last you for 6, 12, or 24 months.
And you don't even touch some of those colors. Like there are certain colors I literally will never use. Like unless it's like for a creative shoot. And even then I don't know how to use certain colors. Like some colors are terrifying because they're so pigmented, and I'm like, I can do my own makeup, but I don't want to touch that color.
Right.
No, because I'm scared of it.
It's too bold.
It's too bold. Yeah.
I was like, I can't. I'm gonna mess it up. I can't blend it.
I can do a smoky eye with a pretty wide color range, but certain colors I am afraid of. I'm sure they would come out great if they were handled by someone that knew what they were doing. But I guess do you get that fear though? You get that kind of makeup intimidation where you like,
I don't do anything crazy. Like, unless I'm intentionally being like, I'm going to put some purple over here. Like, it's just like not, there'll be like oranges or pinks that are really bold that I don't really know what to do with.
Yeah.
So it might be like a splash, but then if I try to get too crazy,
it just use them.
The more I try to be creative with it, the more it doesn't go down. Especially it's really hard with Pinterest because you're like, I'm going to make it look just like this. Bitch, no, you're not. It ain't gonna look nothing like that. And I'm like,
you're gonna try. Try is the operative word.
The only time I really experiment is like Halloween because I'm like, it doesn't really matter if I look super crazy because it's a costume. Yeah. So that's the only time I'll be like trying to do something and I'll make it work. But there's a lot of colors that I don't end up using, but I end up having to buy a palette because I'm like, I just want some browns.
It's more cost effective to buy a palette.
Yeah,
than to buy,
and then you don't end up using it, and then all your brown's gone. So it's like, okay, now I gotta buy a new one.
You know what I can't do, Mark? Any liner, graphic liner. I can't. It's just like a simple wing. I can't do that.
I don't.
So I will share with you. I touch maybe hundreds of faces a year, and I still struggle with like those graphic liners or like anything that's too large of a wing
right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it will take me probably 45 minutes to an hour to do just
to get it exactly and like it's like I'll get one side perfect and like the other side will look good, but it's at a slightly different angle or it's just a little too chunky and like this and I'm a perfectionist, so stuff like that will drive me absolutely
one
nuts.
eye will look like the slow cousin and just
the slow cousin.
Well, they're sisters, not twins. I always have to tell myself that because then I'm just like I'm just doing buns on my hair. I'm like, what the fuck? And my coworker said that to me one day because I was just like, my buns aren't even. She's like, they're sisters, not twins. I was like, all right. Okay, that makes me feel better.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I like doing dots. That's like the only thing that I will do that's crazy. I don't do no lines. No wings.
You're like,
It's
we
like
just-
2 dots.
Dots
No wings,
over
no
here.
lines, just dots.
Yep. There you go.
I
Some dots,
can't. I
some
feel like I
squishes.
can't fuck with a wing that much because I have like. Actually, this is like an interesting question for you because you're a makeup artist, so you see different facial structures. My eyes aren't. They're not entirely hooded, but they're just hooded enough that I feel like if I do any really complicated shadow makeup, like a cut crease, I feel like I have a lot of trouble maintaining the integrity of a cut crease because of the way my eyes are shaped.
And I advise some of my clients with hooded lids to not really try it too much because
Yeah,
it
so
ends up on pretty much like your brow bone for a lot of.
Literally, like I'll blink once and it's like all the work is fucking ruined. It's like, or like I'll try to do like a graphic liner and it's like go out and blink a few times and then it's just like all over the fucking. I just have to go out like this. Hi, my name's Amanda. My eyes are watering. Don't look at me.
Or when you open your eyes, you can't even see all the work that you spent 30 to 40 minutes doing.
Yeah, so it's like I'm always super envious of people that you have like beautiful full eyelids. I
Lid
don't have
space.
that. I don't
Yes.
have lid space.
You do? I have no idea.
Yeah, you do. You have a lot of lid space, a lot of real estate. We love
You
it.
do.
Like
Oh,
makeup artists. I love that. We love
some
lid
nice,
space.
nice roomy
I'm not
lids.
premium. Got a lot of lipstick,
I'm
girl.
not that over here. I have nice
I'm
lips.
gonna put that on my Tinder profile. Got a lot of lid space.
I have nice cheekbones though. I have some assets. I just don't have. I don't have a lot of lid real estate. I don't have any actually.
I wish I knew how to work it and do something with my lid space.
So actually, do you have any advice for her? Like someone that has very little experience and is like feels like a beginner, like to kind of take on her look.
I'll say that I did like a relatively simple eye look on you. It was, I think I used all of 2 colors and you look amazing. I used 2 colors and a lash and that was it. Just, play it up. You got the lid space, you got the real estate. So
Yeah, I'm like, hold on. Wait a second. Because sometimes I'll be using 5 colors and I don't even see it. So the fact that you use 2 colors and it's so
Very noticeable. So just less is more then. That's your first lesson.
yeah, that's
or for anyone
and that's
beginning,
the best
less
approach.
is more.
Less is more.
Because I'm sure we have people watching that don't have an established makeup routine or maybe they want one. Like I know I have many friends that want to establish one, but they feel so beginner and so overwhelmed by just how big it is that they just don't even bother.
There is nothing wrong with just throwing 1 shade of eyeshadow on your eye and just keeping it moving.
Oh my God. Okay.
Liberating. Have you been liberated?
I mean, I still know I'm gonna fuck it up somehow, but I'm excited to
I believe
experiment.
in you. I so
excited.
believe in you.
I believe in you too. I think you'll kill it. Just
Little
that 1
color.
shade and call it a day. Keep it moving.
Mark, you killed that shit. They look fucking amazing.
Thank you.
Savage and the sexy.
Yo, are y'all gonna pop that bottle or what's up? It's been sitting there. I've been watching it.
Uh-oh, it's Mark's job.
That's all you, boo.
Oh, okay.
You gotta, you know how to pop. I don't know.
We
point it at any of us.
Are you professional champagne bottle popper?
I am not. So
Okay.
we'll see how this goes.
Don't point at any of the lights or the camera.
There's a lot of equipment going on here. You're giving me a really tough job.
Not to be confused.
Wait, hold on. I learned this from Wine and Crime.
Like a shirt or something. And she's off. Hey, it's another onesie. Here we go.
Oh, Amanda, you've done this before. Yeah, I remember. You did.
No, he's got to
Okay,
do it.
I got to do it. So
She's really into this result. Okay.
Okay.
So when you go to pop it, if you put this over top, it'll keep the cork from flying.
Okay.
So just pop it.
But let me see the bottle so I can take it. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, now. Okay, go. Such a mom.
because I'm super nervous.
You got this.
got
I
it.
believe you can.
If I can do it, you got it. You
Rip that
believe
Band-Aid
you
off.
can.
It's
We're
lit.
having some
Look at that. No mess. No mess at all.
Sure.
Rose all day. Rose all day. Rose
Rose
all day. Now we're pouring some rosé for everybody because we got to get loose. We got to get fluid as we start to
It
talk
is.
about all the things we're going to talk about today. Lots of
Thank you.
stuff and trends and happening.
Glass,
I mean, I will do it later because I have not to be named alcoholic drink in my cup until they sponsor us.
awesome.
So, hey, what's up? If you want us to drink your alcohol on our show, email us at thesavageandthesexy@gmail.com. We are not taking sponsorships. I feel it in the space.
I'm just loving your whole announcer voice that you have going on. I think that you should keep this for a while.
Yes. If you want to see more of Mark's stuff, why don't you tell the people your Instagram so they could see your stuff?
Sure. I am Mark White, MUA on Instagram, www.markdoesmakeup.com.
Yeah.
I'm like starting a TikTok at some point. I don't know. I'm too old for TikTok, but I'm starting to get it. Like,
way. People are like, you should make a TikTok. I'm like, I don't want
it's to the point where I have to have my like 12-year-old niece show me how to use TikTok. I do not know how to use TikTok.
Yo, we have to though. We gotta take advantage of it because the
it's the wave. It really is.
Yeah, and the algorithms on TikTok haven't been manipulated yet. So like we have we gotta jump on that. Because I feel the same way. I feel like I'm too old for TikTok,
here, no.
but-
This is my complaint. I don't feel like I'm too
Complain
old
corner.
for TikTok, but I'm too busy to have to make
Yes,
TikTok.
that's the thing. First,
like we're
busy,
all so busy.
And I don't have space on my phone. I'm sorry, honey.
2 points. I'm still going to try, but I'm going to give it the good old complaint and say that I'm so busy and TikToks are like they're complicated.
of
To
work.
make a good one is complicated. Like it takes a lot of skill. Kudos to anyone that does that.
Yeah,
like,
they're a lot of
damn,
work.
You
The
got to think about a
transitions and
lot.
like one of my friends told me she has like 90 drafts.
Holy moly. Do you have 90 drafts?
What?
What are you?
No,
She's like giving us like background music and just going on.
I will see. The thing I have to do because I have no space on my phone is I take all the video, I do all the drafts, and then I upload them to the drive. And from the drive, I go to Premiere, Adobe, what's up, and I make all of my things, and then I download it back on my phone, and then I post it, and then I delete it again because I don't have space. So then I'm extra busy, and extra time. And also
I was gonna say,
because
that just sounds like so
Instagram
much
also
work.
freezes all the time. I'm sure TikTok would do the same. And so I just too busy for that shit. I'm too busy for that shit.
I was just so stressed out listening to that whole process.
busy for that shit.
Yeah, there we go, Bobbin. Too busy for that shit.
And yet we're still all going to try our best
I'm
to
gonna
do
try it.
Yes, and yet here we are all trying.
Yes, I'm gonna try. There's a lot that I like. I think it's always fun. It's fun when I'm doing it in the moment. It's the editing and having to post it and the hashtag.
And I think that's the thing. It begins to feel like a job for me at that point.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do this. If
Right.
it's going to take me 4 hours to turn out one video.
One video. That's like literally 15 seconds. That's 15 seconds. It's what is this stop motion animation? What is this?
Or like, especially when you have to change outfits. It's like, and then change 10 minutes and then 2 seconds and then change and then 2 seconds. And then it never works. It always freezes. It always breaks down. And then I don't post it and I wasted like
It's
2
an
hours of my life.
incredible way to think about things, though, because like, man, I admire people that successfully can make a lot and because like it just the thought that has to go into it, the work. It's like for as like silly as people like say it is, it's like it takes so much to make a
It takes a
TikTok.
lot, and just like you were saying that there's new products every week, I feel like there's new trends and new things. So unless you jump on it pretty quick and
They
like
burn
make
out
it,
fast,
then by the time you put together that video, there's already something new that everyone's doing, and it's like, oh, okay, well that's not even trending anymore.
And I think I struggle with like, how do I join this new platform and still be like authentic to what I do? Because you're not going to see, my big ass dancing and doing any TikTok dance trends and whatever. Like, I have to figure out how I'm going to be able to still be authentic to myself and what I do while joining kind of this platform. And I'm still figuring it out, but
Yeah,
it's definitely something I'm going to do.
I think personally, I like transitions where it's just like no makeup or something like that because it's like only one switch, and then I like the ones that are acting because you just have to look silly. So that's bad.
I'm still finding the ones.
I mean, you could do a whole TikTok trend of you just doing things in that like game show host voice.
Yeah.
There actually is like somebody on there that like is a news reporter that actually just goes into random places and talks to people in a news reporter voice.
Awesome.
And it's entertaining. I scroll through her page all the time. I think her name is like April O'Neil.
That's awesome.
And like she just goes into like order food or like just go to Walmart and make a return in like her news reporter voice.
Is she like in the whole getup too? Like is she wearing?
No, she just comes like it's
so
insane. I'll
funny.
show you after.
I love
It's
that.
funny.
But she like made like a whole trend out of that.
Yes.
I'll do a return for $300, please. Here's my receipt.
You would be a great game.
And they're like, ma'am, don't come in here and do that.
Do they actually say that?
I want to be kicked out.
You would be that person. You would totally. I have so much faith in you to be that person. Absolutely.
I'm aiming to be kicked out of an establishment by using my reporter voice.
You have so many other voices that would also get you kicked out of establishments.
Yeah, I did an audition recently. I was just being myself. He's like, you sound like you do a lot of impressions. Like, what impressions do you do? I was like, I don't do impressions. This just all comes out of me.
This is natural. All of this.
There were just voices inside my head, and everyone gets a turn to speak.
Who brought the sauce?
I got the sauce.
Are you just going to start stabbing someone after that, too?
Lightly stabbing.
Softly.
I was going to say, that voice sounded like you're on the way to a 72-hour
Right? Okay, I'm so
somewhere.
glad you agreed with me because I was like, you straight up sound like you're going to murder somebody
That was
right now.
Tina. Hi, Tina. Hi, Tina.
We do need to catalog all of your characters. I'm sorry. We actually... No, there was one, like, think of the first 2 episodes we did. We, like, named one of your characters.
I have no
got to go
idea.
back and listen to it, but it was OG. OG.
God. Anyway, so back on topic. Makeup.
So, Mark, in line with some of our other discussion points the other day, can you, like, list some of your favorite, most memorable experiences?
Yes.
Sure. I mean, I think all the shoots that I do are amazing, and like just that's the place that I get to have the most creative kind of control over the looks that I do, which I don't normally get doing kind of fashion shows. It's the designer's vision, or like even doing makeup for clients that pay me to do makeup. It's their vision, which we talked about, like even just like a little bit more to your point about using kind of neutral tones and being afraid to kind of step into color. It kind of dictates what I get to do as a makeup artist, because if I have clients that are afraid of color and don't necessarily use it in their day-to-day life, I find myself doing a lot of brown and golds, which I love, but there's a time and place for that. But
Right.
There's definitely a limit, I feel like, especially for like weddings or certain things. Like it's just kind of like people tend to keep it pretty natural, and where so it's like photo shoots, you really get to be flexible
Right.
with
Loosen up a
your
little
creative
bit.
eye and flex that muscle.
Right. And I think my favorite projects are actually like doing fashion shows, just because how fun they are and how fast paced they are and chaotic, but it all pays off when you get to see your models walk down the runway and the lights and the clothes. So that's probably like my favorite thing that I do is runway work.
Okay. And you get to do like a good amount of it too, don't you?
Yeah. I did 5 shows in 2021.
Nice.
I just did 1 show in 2022 just yesterday.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have another one coming up at the end of the month, and we'll just kind of keep it moving from there. Just even as kind of a sneak peek, I'm like partnering with a designer to kind of make my own design so I can show designs at like shows coming up.
Oh, cool.
That's really awesome. I love
my
when you can find
gosh.
someone
Yeah,
to
anyone
do
that knows me, I'm the type of person like I want to do it all and I want to try it all. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But like,
At least try it.
yeah,
That's really cool.
I'm an experience chaser.
No, I love that. No, and I'm
Experience
Yeah.
We vibe
chaser.
with
That's
that.
such. I feel like we are too.
We
like
vibe with
you
that.
being able to put that word to it is really great. Like I love trying new experiences, being able to like I'm gonna push myself out there even though it's not something I would do.
Right.
Runway is not something I ever really envisioned doing for myself, but I do enjoy it, especially when I can know the designer or the people that I'm working with, and knowing that I get to highlight their brand is really great.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And like coming together and collaborating in that way is something that I really, really enjoy.
Which we talked a lot about, like during our preliminary phone conversation, was just like the satisfaction. Like it's great to do stuff on your own, obviously, but when
much
you're
better
part,
with other people.
when you're part of a squad and like you're all realizing the same vision, and what everyone's bringing has the same value. So it's like the makeup isn't more valuable than the clothes, the model isn't
Right.
more valuable. Everybody is equally valuable in this collaborative experience, and like you all get to ping off of each other and be flexible and like kind of showcase your ability. You're not locked into like one lane. Like that is such like
I feel like they also like I don't want to say as the word push, but they help elevate your ideas.
Yes.
Because even just when we're working together, like I have an idea and then you bring elements that I didn't think of. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and then I could feed off of that. And so like having all those minds kind of grow together
Right.
ends up creating something much more beautiful.
It
than what you would
increases
do on
the
your own.
tools in your toolbox because
Yep.
like you
Yeah.
don't have everything to make a shoot happen, or even just creatively. It's always good to like hear other people's opinions and have ideas and share experiences that they've had, and that's been very helpful along the way. I have a few like really key people that have really helped me a lot, way more than they probably needed to or should have, and I'm so appreciative for that. But you know, I wouldn't be where I am today or even doing the work that I do kind of without them.
Yeah.
I think it's big to talk about, like, we all know, like, as creatives, like, it's amazing when you get to do something that you thought was just a dream or a thought in your head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago to actually be doing it. It's a huge credit to, you know, yourselves as creatives to be able to take something that was a dream or just a thought and turn it into something real and tangible.
Yeah, with the help of others, usually.
Yeah.
That's what this show is. This show totally is that.
It's always with the help of others and knowing that it doesn't happen overnight. Like, you put in the work, and there's times where you want to give up. There's times where you're just like, this is too much. But then I feel like the universe kind of puts the right people in your path to make it happen, which is really exciting.
Right. And I think that is the big thing. And I make sure that I'm very cognizant not to forget those people and include them as I move forward, because they've shown me the same. You know, I can talk about, like, one person in specific is a model by the name of Jasmine Hall. I was in a position where, for those people that, well, everyone doesn't know me. I'm acting like I'm already your third host. But nobody knows me here. But I do work a 9-to-5 job as a social worker. And for a while, like, I did the whole college thing, like, got my master's and did that whole deal, and decided kind of later on, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, that I wanted to pursue this professionally again. And I had a model by the name of Jasmine Hall book me just randomly with just kind of getting back into makeup, came to my home, like, just kind of sight unseen, and worked with me. And she is a huge model. She's been in, like, Italian Vogue. Like, she's in, like, Sephora stores right now and ads for, like, various campaigns.
And she just found you? How did she find you?
So I was advertising my work on Thumbtack to just get paying clients, which, you know, she came and just found me, and we've been friends ever since. We've worked on a number of shoots. She is incredibly, incredibly supportive. Like I said, way more than she probably has any right to be. She's like, in my eyes and to the eyes of many people in the community, she's a huge deal. So she's more supportive than she probably has, than she should be.
But she sees something in you and knows that and values that connection. Because I feel like once you meet someone and you feed off that energy, it's just like, it becomes more than just, I do this and you do that. It becomes a really cool friendship and partnership.
And that's what it is. It's like, I have this thing that you'd be perfect for. I want to see you grow. You have, you know, this potential that I want to foster in any way that I can, and, you know, also helps me out. I mean, it's a reciprocal sort of deal, but, you know, people don't have to do that for you.
No, yeah, it's always very humbling. I find it very humbling to be able to work with, that people want to work with me, that people, like, will seek me out to work with me. And I'm like, I mean, I would like to put more value on what I do. I think there's a little bit of a perception flaw there in the way that I view myself, but it ends up with me being very grateful for everybody that actually finds value in me, that sees something in me and finds it worth the time to collaborate with me.
Like we talked about finding your tribe and finding people that really appreciate what you do and see value in what you do, because not everyone does or will, and it's really just aligning yourself with the people that do and going with it.
Yeah. I mean, when I was first going freelance, it was right before COVID, and I was working a 9-to-5, and I was good at it. It was fine. It was just like, you get that question of, where do you see yourself in 5 years at this company? I'm like, I don't want to do it. And so many people that knew me at the time, they're just like, yeah, you're creative. Like, you should be doing your own thing and wanting to go on my own. And there were people who were close to me that didn't believe in me. And I realized, I was like, these are not the people I need to be around and surround myself with. But once I did that, like, and getting over the hump, like, oh shit, I'm kind of alone, kind of just putting myself out there, but it connected me to amazing people, like everyone in this room.
Right, and that's powerful.
I didn't know.
There's so much power in
literally
that.
3 years ago. And it's just like, these are my people. I'm finding my tribe, and being able to look back to be like, this is where I was supposed to go, and I had no idea where that direction was before. And being open to finding those people and having those conversations and not being afraid to put yourself out there.
Trusting that it'll lead to somewhere, even if it's not like where you originally planned, like that it will lead to somewhere that will give you something back.
And valuing connections that it might not seem like, I also don't want to be like, oh, you're going into something because you think they can help you or elevate you, like actually wanting to make genuine connections.
With intention.
As small as it could be, because you don't know when it's going to come back around. You really don't. Like, I had a shoot with someone, it was like when I was first kind of starting off, just had met her, was just like really friendly, really great person. And I was like, cool, you're awesome. she lives in Maine, so I'm like, I never would see you. And then I get a call from like a brand company, and they're just like, we'd love to shoot with you. Like in Portland, it was like for like shoes or something like that. And they're like, we got your name from this girl. And I was just like, I didn't even think she remembered who I was. And here she was, like, literally opening doors for me. And then that, like, opened the doors for other brands to work with me and doing commercial shoots.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, that's something that was just, like, being kind.
We talked about this in our original conversation, where it's like not most of it isn't even being perfect or really good at something. Yes. Most of it is the type of person that you are and the impression that you leave on people and like how you touch people without even realizing it. Like that will help you get more work and develop more connections than being perfect or the best at something ever will. And like that can, and I was telling Mark how like that for me was very liberating, where it's like as a perfectionist to realize that it's not about how good you are, which it's awesome if you want to be good at something, that's great. Like obviously cultivate that skill still, but like it doesn't just end there.
And I think we're all striving for like perfection and to be really good at what we do, but that takes time. It takes, you know, a level of skill that you have to learn. And it's good to have people that want to support you on your journey while you gain those skills.
Whether you're perfect or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're always learning. There's always room for improvement. So I love even more when I can learn from other people and be like, just today being able to learn more things about makeup. I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. This is great. Like just being able to learn and then also maybe help others as well, like give them something they might not have known, because then you're always trying to just better yourself and get a little bit better with each thing that you do,
and in theory hopefully have a symbiotic with relationship with people that will also where you can, it's like a feedback loop where it's like they're improving improves you're improving, and then like everyone getting better means that you're getting better. It's not like, oh, them getting better means they're getting ahead. It's like, no, we're all growing. We all grow at different rates, but if we're all around each other while we're growing, it means we are all going to grow simultaneously.
And that's powerful. I don't believe in gatekeeping at all in terms of, you know, professional things. Like I'm not the type of person, like I've been on sets where people have duct tapes the products, the names of the products that they use, so no one else is able to kind of see what they are.
That is so
I get information.
Crazy.
I love to share it with everyone. I want you to succeed. I'm big on collaboration over competition.
Or it's like if like a lot of people will do stuff like that, but it's like if covering the names of if you're telling me that your products, the products that you're using are the thing that is putting you above the competition, what? Like you're
No, I don't think so.
No, and like
It should
so
be
covering
your
the name of the
artistry.
products is the thing that's threatening to people. No. It's like it should be your skill. It should be your technique. It shouldn't be who cares what you're using. It doesn't matter what you're using.
Like I think I'm more impressed with people who aren't using high-end products and still getting high-end results.
Or like just you bringing in the dupes and being like, these are just as good, and being like, you're using a $12 palette for like these like amazing like full glam looks. Like
when
what?
people, even when the photography world, when people are just like, oh, you're only as good as your equipment. And I'm like, not really. I always outdated because I'm a broke bitch. Like I had an outdated camera all through college, and I got amazing photos that people were getting.
And work, you get work,
and really good work. And it's like someone can have the most high end camera and not know what to fucking do with it, and not have the eye. They're not gonna get. You know what I mean? I think it's a balance. Obviously, you want a good product to showcase your stuff, but
you
it's
don't want to have the product compensate for what you lack.
Exactly.
That's like that,
it has to be a balance of you're utilizing this tool because you're enhancing your own work.
Yeah.
And
Have
being
either
able
of
to
you
give
experienced any sort of professional gatekeeping just kind of in your travels and people maybe not wanting to tell you a shoot location?
Oh, yeah. There are especially
shoot locations
photographers will
definitely
keep shoot locations, like they'll hoard them. And the thing is like on some levels I can understand why, because like some of them have intentions where they want to keep the location safe, where they don't want it to be damaged, or they don't want people coming in.
Or if it's something that they're not supposed to be there themselves.
Supposed to be there.
I didn't think about
I can
that.
understand that.
Yeah.
But if it's a public place where it's like people can find this, they can access it, you can look it up online, then people are allowed to be there. It's one thing if you're trespassing or if it's like damaging property or whatever.
Right.
But like if you know that it can be accessed by anyone going and doing a Google search, like don't don't hoard it. Like, why are you hoarding it? Like, let other people go and use it as a medium for their own work too.
And it's like, my work is not going to look like your work just because we're at the same location.
Talk about this
all
day.
the time.
I could complain about this
The
all
whole
day.
me versus you. But like I've been at, collaborative content days where it's like there are 10 photographers photographing the same person, like the one we did, the bridal, like everyone was photographing us. All the pictures I got
Look
back were
different.
completely different.
Right. And it goes back to, you're not going to be able to do what I do the way I do it the same way I'm not going to be able to do what you do the way you do it. We may be able to shoot at the same locations. We can even shoot with the same person.
With same tools, same people, but it's still going to be different.
Look different.
Yeah.
You can do the same makeup look on the same person, it will look completely different.
But I also think that that's like, I think it really depends because I went to art school. So in art school, they like beat that into your head where it's like you're all going to get the same materials and the same tools and the same parameters. And you're not going to feel like you're copying each other because guess what? You're not going to be copying each other. So like that. But I mean, I do find that a lot in the photography community industry, especially and like with among models. Like there's this almost monopolization of like ideas or originality, and it's like half the ideas that people are doing they get off of Pinterest and they saw someone else do it
new
first.
under the sun.
But if God forbid you use their idea as inspiration to do the same concept, but you do it your way, you're copying them when that idea wasn't even original to them anyway. But then they get all weird about it, and it's like there's no monopoly on ideas. Like
there's no original idea. It's just your version of that concept.
I hear so much of that in the chair. It's like, oh, like there goes that bitch used a flower crown in her shoot 4 weeks ago, knowing I did it 2 months ago. And it's like
a
do you know how many flower crown shoots there are? Do you know how many ice queen shoots? Do you know how many prom shoots? Do you know how many and it's the thing do you know how many princess shoots there are? And it's like unless you literally OG developed the idea where it was like no one else has done this. Right. I have put the time into this.
And they actually copy you inch per inch.
Like actually same
I held
outfit,
this cup
same pose.
like this.
Yeah.
It was purple. It was this exact outfit. It was this exact makeup and then same pose. No. Then I'd be like, okay, that's a little suspect. But still, it's not like...
Nobody would ever be able to take a photo. No. If you were going off of those parameters where it's like, oh, I can't copy even one... Like, you're not even copying. You're just using an idea that is extremely popular and overdone and very over... Many. But then people, get all hoity-toity about monopolizing it because they did it. And it's like... oh my God.
I think people also don't get the concept of inspiration versus plagiarism.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can be inspired by something and put my own twist on it, but because you did something similar doesn't mean that I'm copying you.
No.
There's an inspiration there, which, we won't get into crediting and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say crediting the original inspiration.
But, I'm not going to credit my inspiration based on your inspiration based on someone else's inspiration.
No, if I go to Pinterest and I type in blah 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 concept and I find 50 photos that are all the same concept, I don't need to credit anybody.
Right.
It's because I'm literally looking for concepts in a web engine that will just produce a ton of the same thing for me. So it's I'm not saying you should copy people, but again, copying versus plagiarism versus being inspired by using someone's work as a motivator to do something else.
Yes, please don't take this conversation and go and look on someone's Instagram page and copy their
that.
look.
Yeah, because that's exactly what we're saying not to do.
Yes. Feel inspired, get inspired. Mm-hmm. If you really are liking what someone did with something, be like, how could I take this and do my own thing with it? They're like, you saw someone work with strawberries. You're like, that is such a cool thing. Cool. Grab strawberries and go do something with it.
And that's the conversation I have with myself. If I look at something, we all look at Pinterest, we all look at various things, and I'm like, how could I do this but make this me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Make it mine. Make it not something I'm copying. Yeah. But usually I feel like, at least for me, whenever I see an image of something and then am inspired by it, I'm usually not inspired to do exactly the same thing.
No.
I feel that immediate excitement because I'm like, oh my, this sparked an idea that's adjacent to this, but it's not the same. And I'm really excited about this adjacent idea that I now have thought of because I saw this image.
I say, I'm one of those weird people. I get inspired by just the most minute thing in a photo. Mm-hmm. I'm also the type of person that will like a 10-second clip of a song and just continue playing it.
Obsessed about that.
I love that one piece of the song.
You'll wait the whole song just to hear that 5-second drop. Yeah.
And I'm like, this one piece of this song hits so hard, it makes me feel X, Y, and Z. The rest of the song is trash, but this one piece.
One part of the
just
song.
One thing, have you ever replayed a song because you didn't sing the part that you love the way you wanted to?
Yep.
You
It
need
didn't
that
hit hard enough for me.
satisfaction.
Damn, I missed the part that I love. You just keep
Well, this is
replaying
like
it.
a great
funny.
segue because like we talked about some of your biggest inspirations. Can you let us know like the people or the artist or the visuals that inspired your look, like how you work today?
Sure. I mean, I am inspired by a lot of the male makeup artists in the field. And you and I talked about this. And like for a while, I was very hesitant to do makeup professionally because I didn't feel like this is not like a career that like males are in. And we talked about just doing my research and just really educating myself and just kind of, I was coming from a place of ignorance that like makeup artistry was a male dominated field for a really, really long time. And like just some of like the great makeup artists like Sam Fine, who I like have studied his books and like all of his stuff forever. He does a ton of people, even like most of my makeup artist idols are males. Keita Moore, Morel Hollis, who like does a bunch of TV shows. He does the Wendy Williams show. Like I'm so inspired by that, and that's so empowering because I feel like for me personally, I felt like this is not like a career that I can do. Like I don't ever see any males doing this. Of course, I'm inspired by a lot of like female artists. Danessa Myricks is an amazing inspiration for me. I'm like a makeup nerd, so I follow so many people and I'm inspired by so many people. We'll be here all day just listing everybody that like, I just like, that's like, I nerd out on anything. It's like, what products are you using? Like Mally Magic is another one who she does a lot of work for like, she did a lot of work for Anastasia Beverly Hills and just immaculate work. So, I mean, I got a lot of inspiration. We'll be here all day talking about those people.
That's awesome, though. But, you know, it's true. It's like sometimes when you're growing up, you don't see that version of yourself. And so that kind of limits what you are, you know, what the standard of beauty was growing up. White, blonde, straight hair.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I got kinky curls and I'm thick.
Right.
Like, I never saw like supermodels look like me or any models or people just on TV look like me. So that kind of would embed in your head of like,
Imposter
okay,
syndrome.
that's not the version
And why
of
representation
success.
is so important, and it just makes the world of difference. Even just I think about just what I do on the tiny scale that I do it, people seeing me like going to jobs and doing things that may be like, damn, I always wanted to do that. And I didn't think it was like something that like, you know, I could do until I saw him show up to a show and he's like running things and he's doing like, that made me feel like, because that's how I felt.
Well,
Like,
it expands your perception
Yes.
of what you believe is possible, and it's like you, like in theory, it's like we all hear, oh, it's anything's possible, but
Right.
it's like you still sometimes need help, like seeing it if you've never witnessed it before. And like we talked about imposter syndrome and how it's like it's so real and it's so easy to, especially if you've never seen anybody that looks like you doing what you're doing, or you know, for you, like you can sometimes feel like, oh, this isn't for me because I've never seen someone like me represented.
and from
doing
like a
something
makeup
like
artist
that.
perspective, we live in an Instagram
Yeah.
world. We live in a world of filters. And I was telling you, like, I get tripped up so much seeing like my actual work on faces in real life based on what I see on Instagram. And, you know, no one's immune to it scrolling through. I'm like, well, damn, my work doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, what am I doing? Like, oh, like, I suck at this. Like, I'm good for that. Like, I stay away from Instagram as much
Yeah.
as possible unless like I use it to communicate with people.
Right,
but
keeping firm boundaries around
Yes.
it so that it stays a productive tool rather than something that's going to backfire on
Yeah,
you
like,
because
I'm
you're
never doing
in it
this
too
shit again.
deep.
I'm never doing this shit again.
Yeah, but was something that surprised me, at least maybe I'm the only one in the room that felt this way, but like I didn't realize that makeup artistry was dominated by men. I like when you said that, I was like, whoa, that was actually very surprising for me. Because like you would just assume that because women are constantly under the brush, like that it's like
and
women are leading the way with it. But I was very surprised by that.
I felt like I was really like coming from a place of ignorance, and I had to do my research and really help me like even some of the brands, like the brand NARS. NARS is by Francois NARS, like a male makeup artist. Max Factor is a brand by a male makeup artist. Like even just like doing a deep dive into that, you find like Marilyn Monroe's makeup artist was a man.
That's so
That is
fascinating.
so interesting. I love that.
Why do you think that is? I'm just curious. Just because you would think that it would have been the other way around.
I mean, don't get me like with my like pro-feminism, like fuck the patriarchy kind of thing, where it's like even think about like old, like if like I remember in like social studies they had like Shakespearean plays where like the men would even play the
would be
female
women.
roles.
Yeah.
It was
They
just
didn't want
they
the
wanted men
women
doing everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Or like if I even
That's
think back
true.
to like Venetian times, like men wearing heels and
Yeah.
they wore makeup too, and yeah, I guess. So I guess like maybe
Like think about how
historically
foolish that
somewhere
is.
it
Just
diverged,
also you
we'll
just
say.
don't have women in things that you think that they can't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
So what I'm like so curious when that diverged to like it, I'm just like curious where it broke off in history that like it was okay, like where men were kind of leading the way with like makeup and heels and stuff like that, and then it broke off to it being a very feminine thing.
Right. Like even think about like the designers that we talk about, like our high-end designers, like 9 times out of 10 they're men.
Yeah,
that's
you're
true.
right.
You don't see a lot of women.
That's such an interesting dissonance. I,
think
find
it
it's
was-
just remnants of patriarchy, maybe that women
Yeah.
haven't become more involved in the fashion and beauty industry when they're literally like the face of it most of
Right.
the time.
I mean, even if this is kind of off topic, but like choirs, like it's
Oh, you're
recent, but it's like they would pretty much neuter
Yeah, so that
boys
they could keep
so
their
that they can
range.
keep that range
high-pitched
instead
voice,
of
yeah.
allowing women to sing. So it was just like, and that was like an honor. Like you wanted to become
it was
that kind of.
especially if your child was chosen. I forget
Yeah.
what that role was
I
called.
forgot what
but
it was
If your
called, of
child was
course.
chosen for that role, it was a huge like religious
and then
honor.
obviously it was a lot of work to even still be good at doing that. But it's like
Yeah.
they were
and then but
emancipating
you
children
lose
to
your
do
whole
that.
access to this
Yeah.
other facet of your life.
So it's like,
yeah.
and that was, I think it officially got banned like still in the 1900s.
It's
was
fairly
pretty-
recently,
it's fairly
considering. Considering.
So it's like when we really think about those things, and we just assume because the women is what's being portrayed that they're behind it, but a lot of that patriarchy is still dwindling down.
Yeah.
It's like it
so
is
fascinating.
men.
It's so fascinating because
But
especially
then-
just because like you and I both know men that have a very like makeup is only for women.
Yes.
Or like,
Yes.
these things are only for women, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think I don't know, like to me, I'm like, it's just, historically speaking, no, it's not. And like, why? And like, maybe this is just me, but I'm like, I love being able to get my makeup done. Like, I love getting in a chair, getting a full face. Like, I'm like, I wish more men were open to
It's just
experiencing
a story
something
they're being
like that.
told.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
Society telling them they're not.
That it's not
like,
okay. Or that it's emasculine or whatever. But it's just, this is a whole interesting conversation. Like,
Which I've seen a shift in. Like I said, I did a show yesterday where we had like younger male models that like obviously weren't coming in to get a full face, but
Right.
I'm very used to like going to shoots and like you'll have male models that maybe don't have the best skin
Right.
or could use a touch up and they're
Yeah.
so against it based on what other people are going to think.
Right.
But seeing a lot of these young men yesterday, like, no, like I have like a big ass pimple right here. I need you to cover up.
Yeah,
like, I have
okay.
some razor burn
They
on my
want
neck.
that,
Like I can't
yeah.
go out and look stupid. Like I don't want to look foolish. Like these photos are going in my book or like I need to put these on Instagram and like I need to look right.
they want that transformational power.
Yeah. And it was like, oh damn. Well, like I've been doing this for a while and like
And you're noticing like
Yeah.
an up. So like, is that kind of refreshing for you?
yeah,
Like,
I mean, I think it's just like, you know, especially working in that field, I think it's just something that for me was just very eye opening and just like, wow, things really are like starting to change
Yeah.
a little bit. And like there were some guys that didn't and like that's their prerogative. But I think it's important to have a situation and kind of an openness where people that want to do that can and
Yeah.
not really be like shamed or
and there's no
ridiculed for it.
stigma or like people aren't going to look at you weird. Or,
Right.
like it's normal. Like it would be normal for.
And the other
yeah.
young guys were like, you know, this isn't for me, but damn, like you're doing this, and like
Yeah.
this is, you know, those pictures are gonna look amazing when you go down the runway and do, you know, what you do. So
Yeah.
it was very empowering and refreshing
I
to
think
see.
I seem just by looking like it's really, and just by listening to you, it really is just an art form, and I'm very
Yeah.
unfamiliar with the art form, but just by hearing y'all talk about this, it's very blatantly an art form, and people have their own styles. And what would you say your style is?
So my style has been, and people like troll me, other makeup artists like lightly troll me on like my socials about
Oh
like,
boy, I'm ready.
just like watercolor painting, like light painting. Cause like I don't do like the traditional stuff that you see on Instagram with like full coverage, like brows and like
Where it's just makeup everywhere.
I can do that. And like I post like a lot of like my like weekly question and answer stuff on my Instagram where I talk to other makeup artists and stuff like that. And it's like I can do that, but that's just not where my passion is. So I would say it's very dewy most of the time.
I love that.
Very light to medium coverage. And I want people to look like themselves. Like I don't
It's a
like
more natural look.
Yeah.
and I feel like that's not in trend right now, especially like when you see like stuff on TikTok and Instagram, you're usually seeing like a really drastic transformation.
Yeah. Which is very true. I do the same with my photography. It's like, I want you to look like you.
Right.
Because I want you to love you, not to do all these crazy edits that you're then a whole different person.
And I also feel like it's my personality, like where if everyone is doing something, I don't want to do it.
And
So
it's going
like,
to set you apart.
yeah, it's like everyone's doing these looks and like using this full coverage stuff and like doing practically what we talked about is pretty much drag makeup.
Yeah.
Or like technically is drag makeup. And I'm like, okay, well everyone's doing that now. That's really popping and everyone like that's the wave now. I'm going to go do this because I don't want to do what everyone else is doing.
Oh, okay. Because I remember, I find this really interesting that right now, like you're kind of on the more dewy, more natural approach. Because I know one of your favorite trends is contouring.
Yeah.
So like it's very cool that you like can have like hold that kind of in a high regard, but still know when to use it and when to not use it.
And I use it in a lot of like the looks that I do. It's just how I execute it is different and the products that I use are different. So, I mean, I still use it a lot, probably in almost every look that I do. I think it's just how you execute it.
It still amazes me. Like contour really just like can slap me across the face sometimes. How different it can make people look, like literally like completely different person. Like and that if we're talking about capacity to transform, like contour, oh my God.
Yeah, because you're literally shaping contour and highlighting. You're shaping the face and you can create a whole new face.
It's so crazy.
Yeah,
Create a
some
whole
of the
new face.
transitions I see, I'm just kind of like, one, to take the time to transform into a whole nother person is, I don't have the patience for that. Like, the things they do, I'm just like, what? Like, you just caked on
Like I can barely get myself
1,000 products
together.
on your face, and like, I can't even wrap my head around that. But they literally like, especially now, 'cause so many people do the before after. I'm like, you're a completely different.
Well, because you would have to know. Like, I don't do a lot of contour except for on myself. I only understand my own bone structure. So whenever I do contour on myself, it's just to accentuate my own bone structure. But as someone that does it a lot and that likes it, I feel like you must have to know about bone structure. You gotta
really
know,
do, and every face is different. And I want to say, like, because my people that follow me are going to listen to this. They are going to watch it. I am not in any way disrespecting the makeup artists that do those type of looks and love that. That's what you do.
like the really dramatic ones.
Like there's a place for it. It's just not for me. And I feel like, with every different bone structure, every different face, you have to figure out. And that's another piece that I love about doing makeup is like it's almost a puzzle. Every time you do it, everybody's face, sometimes you don't always get it right 100% the full time. But,
But as a professional, to me, part of being a professional is leaving that 10 to 15% where you don't know it all.
Right.
And you have to experiment and you got to learn. You didn't just always learn from. And I always found it, I love faces. I'm an artist. So like I have artists love to draw faces most of the time. It's like in art school, they're always like, all right, kids, stop drawing disembodied heads. Just you need to draw something else now because there's other things to draw. But I love people's bone structure. I love looking at the different facial structures and stuff. So you must see you must be so intimately familiar with like the landscape of the face more than like say like someone like me that doesn't actually spend a lot of time intimately like knowing and understanding it.
I agree and disagree.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people with art backgrounds, I envy you guys because you guys think about things in such a different way than I do. And I wish that I had those skills to like be able to just see something and like conceptualize it in the way that like I have a lot of friends that are really amazing makeup artists that are like do a lot of like went to art school and like do fine art and like the way that they see colors and textures.
It's
I
totally
wish
different.
that I
will
could
say that.
see that way.
They
and I'm
literally
like,
beat that into your head in art
Yeah.
school. As someone that went to art school, they like hammer, like you don't see it the same way that other people see it. You can't after you get out of there.
and they're like, no, this is great, but like, let me show you this. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like, my brain doesn't even work that way to even.
It can be learned. I will say that because I went to art school in my early 20s. I learned all of that, in my early 20s. So it's like, it's all just how you, it's just the stuff that they make you study and the way that they make you study it and like the way that you develop appreciation for different aspects of art.
So do you find it more helpful to like plan your faces depending on what you're doing, or do you kind of show up and just know what colors you're going to use and wing it?
So for a long time, I used to show up and kind of wing it. We'll talk about astrology. I'm a Taurus. I am lazy. I like to just show up and just do what I do and go.
Kind of flow with it.
Yeah, nothing more, nothing less. But I found in order to have the type of success that I've wanted, personal success, and what that looks like for me, I find that if I get on a set or I get to, a place where I don't actually have a chance to plan out a look, it takes me a lot longer. I end up leaving feeling like I've missed the mark on a lot of things. So I will say that just kind of retraining my brain and just some behavior modification, I have started to really actually sit and plan out looks. Like I'll do the whole Pinterest thing to get inspired, not to plagiarize, but to get inspired. And I'll
Get all the ideas churning. Yeah.
I'll then go from there and like take elements from those looks. I'm actually getting into face charting, which is, something very, very new to me. Again, someone that doesn't have an art background, just kind of coloring on a face chart and using actual products to plan out a look has been very interesting. Still a big learning curve around that, but I have been planning out looks, and I find that it helps me get in and like do a look really quickly, know what I'm doing, and leave satisfied without regret, feeling like, damn,
I feel like
should have did
even
this.
just having like an outline of this is kind of what I'm going for can help, like essentially do a little roadmap.
It makes so much
help
sense,
out.
though.
Yeah.
It makes, because
It's awesome.
Even as like an illustrator, like they really taught us, like, do the sketch first. Like, not like a scribble of it, like do a full-on sketch of the colors, of the placement, so that when you go to do that final piece. And then like I will say, as much as I like to kind of like wing it sometimes, like every time I did a sketch of the painting prior, it always came out faster. It was always easier. I already knew what I was doing. Like all the motions and the lines were practiced, so my hand and my body were already mechanically on the same page.
And like we talked about is like all the trends and all like the different ways you can execute a look. If I don't plan it out, I get bombarded with like, oh, I really wanted to do like a graphic liner and spend like 45 minutes doing this. And if I plan it out, I find that like I self-talk and I'm like, no, you've already planned this look out.
Yeah.
Don't fucking change it. Like
You're like
you did
committed
it.
to the idea.
Yes, where like versus where like I'll get to a set and just kind of wing it and like pull so many influences and like maybe have 10 and get to do 4 and then
It's
leave.
like possibility
feeling pissed off.
paralysis, as we called it. It's like just there's so much possibility and you're so excited and you could do all of it that you just don't end up doing anything.
So
because
it's
you're like,
you need the openness, but not too much of the openness. It's like when I teach dance, I love improv. I like being able to be like, oh, we'll just see what happens, but I also need to like put in the movement that I have in my head, in my body, and like, okay, let's try this and see if it even works.
And don't get me wrong,
do
a
it.
lot of times improvisation and like just kind of winging it is where magic really, really happens.
I agree.
But for me and this point in my trajectory, like I really need to plan. There's been enough magic.
Yeah.
There's been enough of me just kind of coming in and winging it. I've actually been like really trying to plan things out and move with intention. That's really important.
That's the big thing.
As like a
moving with
professional,
intention.
at least for me, like, and we kind of brushed on this a little bit with collaborating, but like, when you have a collaborative experience, you have like kind of your assignment of what the general goal is, right? But there's no hard line. So for me, the unpredictability, that magic of just the 10 to 15% where you're not planning it, that happens in collaborative shoots with the other people and the fact that I don't know what they're going to do. So, or like even me, like when you sat down today and you were like, oh, what lashes? I'm like, I don't care what lashes. I want to take the control out of my hands and just give it to you and be surprised. Because every time I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do what I do, but then like, I'm going to let everyone else do what they do and I'm not going to micromanage it. I'm going to allow for imperfection. Yeah, I'm going to allow for imperfection. I'm going to see what happens. And then it always ends up being whatever I didn't plan for, if I'm working with professionals that I know I can trust, it always ends up coming out incredibly.
Do you find that that's difficult? Because I'll say for myself, I am very laid back and mildly aloof, but also a control freak at the same time, if that makes sense.
That is me. Hi.
No, I am the same way. When it's at least for photography, I think it was different. With art, it's very different. I tend to take the reins and have a lot more micromanaging control tendencies if I know that there's like a project or something. But for photography, I got into modeling kind of not on a whim, but like it was so random and I was so nervous and insecure. So I didn't have a lot of that like domineering, I know what I'm doing, like let me take the reins energy. So a
learning curve.
So
more.
yeah, not even for me, but like it was more like I already don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to trust the makeup artist. I'm going to trust like with photography and modeling, there's so much trust involved. The photographer is capturing what you hope they capture. And as a model, you're like, and sometimes you get feedback from the camera, but like there's so much trust in modeling where it's like, I look this way, but like I got to make sure I trust that person to do that. Trust the hairstylist, trust the stylist, trust the makeup artist, trust the photographer to edit me the way that I am imagining this, and all of that. I guess for photography, it's easy for me to let go because there's so many things as a model that are out of my control.
Right.
That I can just come up there and show up and be good and do my posing and be a good positive force, but everything else is completely out of my hands. So for modeling,
I am big on coming in, which I'm changing. I'm changing some of my I don't want to say toxic behaviors, but
they're not always toxic.
Where like I'll come in and be like, no, do whatever you want, and then someone will do it, and I'm like, I didn't think you were gonna do it that way. No, do it, do what you want, but do it this way.
Yeah.
Have fun, be creative, but also
not like that.
Do it the way I want you to do it.
Difficult to do.
It is.
So back to like what Amanda was saying. I love what you were saying, Amanda. Like it really is like one of those things there. You can't control everything. You can have a vision. That's why it's important to team up with the people that understand your vision.
You can trust.
And that you can
with
trust.
The vision. Yeah.
And that won't take it the wrong way if you go and tell them, hey, can you tweak this? Can you tweak that? And that's with any field. It doesn't have to necessarily just be photography.
Right.
Even with music. It's like that with music. It can be like that with makeup. Well, and with makeup, when you're like doing a set, like, within the context of what the set's gonna be like and what you guys are doing, like it all has to like glue together. It's so the trust has to go all around.
It really does.
Full circle
I will tell you that when I come to like a photo shoot, the first place I go is to the person that is doing the lighting, and I'm asking, "What's the lighting like?
Okay.
What's it like?" Because if it's like harsh, or if I need to know how I'm going to do the makeup based on your
What
lighting or
everything
based
else
on what you
happens.
have going on. So yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like even as photographing, like I don't want to micromanage. I don't want to tell my model to stand this way, to do this way. I want to give an emotion or something for them to evoke, like give me movement with like your hands in the air, or like giving me some dimension or something. And then I let them kind of do what they do and then capture that. So you have that part of communicating so that everyone's on the same page. Everyone's like, this is what the set looks like. This is what the lighting is going to look like. Like, these are the clothes she might wear, based off what's going to go on with makeup, and then kind of work together to make magic from it.
Right. And being able to kind of redirect and kind of refocus if
it's not going according to plan. Yeah, that's a big thing.
Communicating your vision, because sometimes you'll have a vision and for whatever reason you think the other person might be in the same page, but you actually may not have communicated.
Absolutely.
No, yeah, exactly.
So it's just
and
it's
that's
just
happened to me before.
Yeah.
Like I've gone and feel like, we're gonna do this, and then it's like something completely different. It's like, oh, I thought we were doing this thing. They're like, oh no, this.
Reiterating is important. Even if you may think you sound annoying, reiterating is like
I just want to make sure that we're all going for this concept.
That's very important.
We've had, conversations, Instagram is big, and it's like it starts to sway away. It's like, hey, this is kind of actually moving away from my original concept, so let's develop a new one based on what everyone's feedback is, so that we could have something everyone's passionate about, and then we'll table the other one because it's straying away from what that person wants. And I respect that more than being like, okay, I'll just go with the flow. You want to be flexible, but also like if you're going with the intent of a specific vision, you want to make sure that you're
not
communicating that. You're not sacrificing your thing to just
to be easy or to just because then you're just a cog in a machine, and like you're not for collaborative experiences, like you're not supposed to just be a cog in the machine.
It's not rewarding.
That's not what it's about. No, like it's your opinion and your input is supposed to matter, what you want to do. Because otherwise these collaborative experiences, like just pay me then.
Everybody
It's
gotta
like,
pee.
I know. Sorry, I started the bathroom break. But otherwise it's just like, if you're just going to make somebody do something the way that you want them to do, absolutely, then that's why you get paid.
Oh, Amanda, I got a
Like,
question for you. 'Cause
Yes.
that, would you say when you first got started with photography, were you a little bit more just trying to figure things out within yourself and then just kind of going with the flow, letting people direct you?
No, for sure. Well, because
Or is it different every single time?
Well, now it's a little bit different. Like I literally will ask for feedback at shoots. I'm like, hey, like as long as it's polite, like I appreciate constructive criticism. Like, and modeling it's like you can know that you like look good, but it's about so much more than just looking good. It's like about how you move and how kinetically you're communicating and expressing yourself. And it's like, I need feedback for that. I can't just move by myself and then like rely on. I need to know with photographers.
Okay.
So like when I first started, it was more about building trust within myself.
Yeah.
Because like it sounds dumb, but like you can get really in your head with posing.
No, that's so important.
You can get so in your head, and like you can tell when a model isn't comfortable posing. You can tell when a model isn't comfortable with herself. So a lot of the first few years was just me giving myself permission to pursue it, because I came from hating myself. So like I had to first allow myself to do it. And then it was like, all right, practice getting opportunities, practice allowing people to say nice things about you, practice feeling good in your body, practice. Like it was more about establishing like trust within myself to be a model, because there was so much self-doubt and so much self-hate that I was coming from.
And probably in a technical aspect, like knowing what looks good, what looks good with you.
Just like if you go to touch your face, if it's like, okay, touch your face, but like don't touch your face. Like just don't put pressure, just touch like that was a whole lesson where it's like, if you touch yourself, don't touch yourself.
Yeah, you
like,
don't-
because
yeah.
then it reads on camera as like indents and skin. So there's
I
a lot.
wouldn't have even thought of that.
There's so much technical stuff on top of like being in your head. Like if you're not confident, I don't want to say confident, if you're not secure within your being to a certain degree, like it will read on camera. So like now I can sort of say, hey, I would like to do this. Like I would love to try this. Like now I have more of a voice
You
because
can kind of expand your horizon.
yeah, because I cultivated a really deep relationship with myself to even trust myself being in front of a camera in the first place, because I came from not even wanting to be photographed.
I was going to ask you, how does that feel though, as someone that like in the local scene and in like in New England, you're a big deal. Let's go!
Are you serious?
Sexy.
Our friendship
Welcome.
bloomed off of obsession. I was obsessed with her, and I was like, I need to work with
Like,
this
how does that
woman
feel?
who is
'Cause I can
amazing.
talk about, like, my
I
own
was like, I don't know if she
experience.
wants to work with
Yeah.
me. I'm like, I want to photograph your beautiful face. I want to be in your
Well,
skin.
I did the same
Amanda,
thing
you're
to her.
kind of
We
a
met
big
at like
deal.
a party, and I'm like, no, I know exactly who. You already follow you, and
Yeah.
I know you do this, and I know
Honestly,
you do
like
that.
I sweat a lot, but I was dripping, messaging her like,
I'm going to cry right now. I'm going
cry, cry from the love.
and just like how humble she is, because she came up and introduced herself, and we're like, bitch, we already know who you are. Like,
We know.
we know. I follow you. I don't think you follow me back, but like,
That's the realest shit ever. Bitch, we already know who you are.
we know who you are. Like,
I mean, that is shocking when people come up to you. They're just like, yeah, I follow you. I was like, you do? Okay, shit, let me follow you.
No, this whole conversation is shocking right now.
Here, do it. Cry.
Honestly, I
want to see the tears.
That was like really nice of you to say.
well,
'cause,
it's
like,
it's
damn,
true. Like, I don't
didn't know
hand out
that.
free compliments. Like, it's true. Like, I remember like, yeah, and you do like the crowns, and you do this, and you're like, yeah, like I do. Like, how the fuck did you know? Like,
That was a great impersonation of me. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But you do a lot of stuff that,
That's nice of
we
you
talked
guys.
about always putting in a little bit more with collaborations. Like, you don't just show up and model. You are that person that will give 150% and want to contribute something like, I can make this, I could do this, let me know how I can help. Like, your personality, like, shines so bright out of, like, when I was starting off and, like, working with more people
Right.
versus modeling or photographing, like, you really stood out. You stood out to me, and that's what made me more obsessed with you. Borderline stalkery, but, we don't talk about that.
We don't mention that.
And, now we're best friends. So, goal accomplished. You'll never leave me. Like you stand out and you put yourself out there and you can see that trust of being like, we're just going to see what happens. And this is kind of our vision and feeding off of each other. And you don't find that every day.
And I ask that because like I'm experiencing that myself over the last 6 months where like people are actually reaching out to me for like input and like, hey, we want to know how you feel about this. And I'm very used to like going onto like a set or working somewhere and like hair and makeup, you're supposed to be seen and not really heard.
Right.
And it feels weird for me as of, like I said, the last 6 months for people really to want my input on things and like, hey, we want you to like, we're just going to give you the reins to this and you just do it. And I feel weird being like, okay, like am I even supposed to be here? Like,
it's such a switch when you go from that, like, of anything that you're doing. You're like, hey, I show up, there's someone you should charge, you're telling me what I'm doing. And they're like, no, like, you do you, and we'll just work around you. I'm like,
but I feel like that like the humility is like kind of what it's like. I know I'm good. I feel like a good model, but it's like I just.
But
don't.
You're not cocky. You're not like I'm the best around.
To me, and maybe you can identify with this. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good of a model I'm very proud and happy to have this, and I love it. I don't do it though to be prideful. I love doing this.
I had a weird moment yesterday where someone like finished a makeup look on that was a part of my team and like brought the model over to me and was like, is this okay? And I'm like, why the fuck are you asking me? Ask whoever's in charge. Like, I don't know. It looks fine. And I'm like, oh shit. Like,
but then
I'm
you
in
realize
charge.
people like,
I'm like, it looks fine. Like, you don't have to do that. Just do what you do and just send them out. Like, it's cool. Like, you don't have to show me how it looks.
Yeah. But it's definitely just like, I just think it's so. That was very. I've been incredibly depressed, so that was very needed. Thank you guys so much. Like,
of course, here for you.
But I think
we're not doing you any favors. It's the truth.
No, thank you.
Really
I appreciate you for saying it that way as well, because I don't want no favors. I just want truth.
Get none.
But no, and like even that, I'm incredibly honored to have you on the show. Like,
I appreciate it.
Like your work is like immaculate. Like I love that we were able to connect organically, and like that we met like under other circumstances.
Right.
So like we're able to have a friendship that's not necessarily like developed in the heat of like, which I'm excited to work with you one day. I know it's gonna happen, but it's just like I'm so honored to have
We've never worked
we
together.
haven't. We've been
That's
in
crazy.
the same shows, but we haven't worked together yet.
Well, technically, you guys just did right now because I did your makeup.
I'm excited to get a full face, but this is my first mini mark
we gotta
face.
do a creative shoot.
Well, and I actually love that because it's something that, comes out of actually just
vibing.
Yeah, like it's not like a collaborative thing. It's not like a social climby sort of thing that often happens.
Yeah.
It's really just, we met at a social thing.
And I literally was like, I'm going to talk to you guys because I'm too socially anxious and I recognize you, so I'm going to talk to you guys. I think I literally said something where I was like, I'm just going to insert myself into your conversation, guys. Hi.
Yeah, she came and introduced herself, and it really was. In my mind, I'm like, bitch, we know who you are. Like,
See, I literally don't.
Yo, I think it's hilarious every time he says that, yeah.
Because my perception
We
of
know who you
myself
is.
is so not on that level. So, like, that's very...
I was trying
always
hard not to
assume
roll
no
my
one
eyes, and I
knows
think I did a good job, but I was like,
You did do a good job. Because I did not get that vibe from you at all.
No, but it's true. Like, I feel like I walk in, I'm like, nobody knows me here. Like, because I don't.
But then people like reckon, it's like on the local level, at least, like we're getting somewhere. So
Yeah.
we're all getting somewhere on the local level.
And
so
like, think about that. Like a lot of the people that have worked together, like again, like I said, just a huge makeup nerd. Just even thinking about like just people that have been together or worked together that have gone on to do like really great things. Like I was reading somewhere that like Grace Jones and Jessica Lange shared an apartment together when they were models.
oh my gosh, that's
And
so
like
cool.
2 different career trajectories, but like you start somewhere and you see people that are working on the local level that do huge things. Like I had a makeup artist on my team yesterday that like does film and TV, and she just did like the new Hocus Pocus movie.
That's so cool.
And like I'm like, why
And
is
that's
she
what I'm
on my
talking. You
team
never
like
know
working with me?
where those
Like,
connections will take you. That's
Right.
why it's like you want to put your genuine self out there because you never know who you're connecting with.
But even
Welcome to it, too.
even more to like what that and like what you were saying too, like the thing is when you realize those people that you look up to are just people.
Right.
Yes.
And like you can
and
work
everyone
with them.
starts
And
somewhere.
you do.
Before Oprah
Yeah.
Winfrey was Oprah Winfrey, she was on like a Chicago news network, like
Yep.
doing the nightly or the daily news.
Didn't
I can't
like
remember.
someone
But
tell
like,
her she would never like?
Yeah,
Someone
like-
told her she would never. They gave her like horrible criticism, and it's like, did it matter though? No,
Right.
Didn't
just have
fucking
to,
matter.
like
Try
everyone
it
starts
anyway.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And the people that you are, like the person that you are today, is not the person that you're going to be 10 years from now, career wise, or even,
even like 2 months from now, like even like the person that I talked to in December had like you were completely and I don't mean that like your energy is the same, but your career trajectory has changed markedly since I talked to you like 2 months ago, which is like crazy
to think
about.
And,
Which is crazy.
I wasn't expecting it, but I was prepared for it, which was a huge thing for me. Is like being sure that I'm prepared for it, but like I wasn't expecting, any of the successes that I've had. I'm always really glad and really grateful when people even want to work with me.
Yeah. But maintaining that is
I was saying, something I never want to lose.
It's that's one of the things that I want to always
I think I said to you on the phone, like, I'm just as excited and I'll be just as excited if I do makeup for like somebody's like bar mitzvah. I'd be just as excited if I got the cover of Vogue next month. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just,
you're just doing what you love to do and being able to do that. And like you said, being able to have people feel beautiful and find that inner self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's what's important. And as long as you don't lose that fire, you're going to be excited about it.
I'll say the moment that this feels like a job, I'll probably stop doing it.
I would encourage you to though.
Like I could be doing the most important thing or the most exciting thing. And it's like, but if I don't feel like I'm evolving or learning or really getting to be creative, then I'm not going to be excited about it.
But
so it
and
doesn't
all
matter
those things are
how much they're paying me. I'm like,
the reason that we're so passionate and that we pursue the things that we pursue so heavy, because I would argue that all three of us, actually all of us in this room, are very hungry to pursue what we. I don't even mean hungry in a bad way, but it's like we want to grow, we want opportunities, we want to get somewhere. We're always working to some degree on it. So it's just I think it's really important to maintain that sense of humility of every project is important. Every project is a stepping stone to somewhere. Every project is a cultivation of something, even if you don't like it, whether you're meeting someone that you didn't know you would meet, or you're affirming your own confidence, or you're proving to yourself that you can do something. All of it has so much worth, and realizing that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you're the best. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter the people that you work with. It's about the experience, and it's about maintaining that sense of humility that will allow you to keep on gaining the multitude of experiences with different people, so that you can realize that nobody is bigger or better than me. It's just about how I approach and look at everything.
I agree. Like we talked about, it's not even about being the best at something. It's how you make people feel.
Yeah.
It's the energy that you
how
bring
you connect
on
with
set.
them.
I've had people that have this person did an amazing job on my makeup, but she's a fucking bitch. I don't want to work with her. She's rude. She throws the vibe off, and
you don't want to work with her.
I love working with you. You come in and do, I may have to curl my own lashes with you, but I actually love working with you, and it's a good time, and I leave feeling, good and empowered.
Such a difference.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't matter whether you're a top photographer of Vogue, whatever it is. If you're not pleasant to work with, or someone that can connect with someone in that level, then it just doesn't work. I'm I'm not going to want to work with you again.
And I find that so liberating though, because that if there are, going to art school, I worked alongside a ton of people at different skill levels, and you'll see people at all different perceptions of themselves, where it's somebody's work might not be that great, and they'll be aware of it and they'll feel really bad about it, and then somebody will be really, really good and they'll know it and they'll be really confident. And then you have people that are in the middle of the road, and I just think it's important to see people at all stages, and to know no matter how good or bad you perceive yourself as, at the end of the day, it does not matter. And that should be, to me, that's liberating.
Right.
Because that means that if you love what you do and you're dedicated, even if you're not good at it technically, it doesn't matter. Just stick to your guns, keep doing it, keep learning at the rate that you're going to learn. And eventually, if that combined with people's skill, those two things will get you somewhere. And it's to me, it's so nice to know that I don't have to be the best. It's so nice to know that I don't have to be better than you or better than you. That is liberating. I don't want to be the best,
because I feel I always want to be learning and improving myself.
I also feel that's a hard place to maintain.
Be. You're at the best, and then it's you can only go downhill from there if you're the top.
And there's so much inferiority with being the best. And it's okay.
Then you have higher expectations of people. Well, you're the best, so it needs to be this X, Y, and Z. It's well, I'm a human and I'm flawed, and I should be able to make mistakes and do different things, or not have to do something and incredible every time and still be good.
Yeah, and so it doesn't have to be immaculate or perfect. And at least for someone like me, that is to me, that means I can fucking do anything.
And
like,
there's so much beauty that you find in the mistakes and imperfections that happen. Like a lot of like the best photographs that I personally feel like I've been a part of have been mistakes.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, I didn't actually mean to do that, or like I did this and like I messed up, but I needed to like
Happy
just make it
accidents.
work
Yes.
and just change it around, and like I actually love the result more.
Like when
than
you're
I-
not in
Yes,
control, like to know that
exactly.
there's beauty in you not being in control, or in
Right.
things not always working out the way that you want it to. And
Right.
it's just, I just have met a lot of people that get really discouraged where they're at skill, like they'll be like, my skill is here and I want to do this, but I could never do that because, or like how you were like, I could never be a makeup artist because like it just doesn't make any sense. Like it just
Right.
blah, 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 blah. But like to have people like us like saying, it doesn't matter if you're good or not. Like
Yep.
just
Do it anyway.
Just fucking commit to the work and do it anyway. And like like even in art school, like I have seen people that were like artists that you would not have even bothered to look at. Like you wouldn't even wanted to call them artists, and like they just fucking stick to their guns and they believed in themselves and they became fucking amazing art.
And you touched on a really big point, is that, you know, you can still think you're not good. Doing the work is very, very important. Don't just kind of rest in that.
No.
Do
Yeah.
the work.
You gotta do the
Don't
I
rest in
still-
self-pity.
I still, you know, attend classes with other makeup artists and learn from like their techniques. I'm actually going to a class in like either March or April. I can't remember when it is, but I'm like flying out to Atlanta to like go do a class because I feel like this artist is
should.
worth the money and worth
Yeah.
learning their technique and
Yeah.
their skills. You never stop learning and just kind of
And you keep going.
yeah,
I know
keep
that.
going. There's like a thing where like I often feel like, okay, this wasn't good. Like I did not do a good enough job at this. Like I am very, very hard on myself. Like I will break down a look that I felt confident with, like felt very confident in, and just break it down. The more I sit, I'm like, okay, I could have did this. different.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
coulda did that. I'm
exactly.
like, I'm
but
not
I feel
good
like
at
so
all.
you get the most fun sometimes, like with dance. Like, you know, I was late in the game with that because I always thought I'm never good enough. I'm like, well, I just want to dance anyways because it makes me happy. And then found myself in like teaching positions and doing that stuff. I'm like, I still have the most fun when I'm just dancing around in my kitchen
Right.
and I look like, you know, an idiot just flopping around. I'm like, because it's just letting myself be happy in the moment and dance around and do whatever it is. But then I love also taking classes and being able to learn things. Like, yes, I could teach and be like, this is the way I do things, and that's great. But like being able to actually be like, okay, I want to improve my skill and I want to learn something different or try something different or do a different style, like just something out of my comfort.
Right.
And have fun with it and not judge myself too harshly, because then you can go through a spiral of like, oh my God, I should have pointed my foot more. Or like if I watch myself dance, I'm like, ugh, no this, ugh, no that. But it's like allowing myself to stay in
I'm
that
good for
moment.
that, and I've been really
my
working
God,
on breaking myself out of negative self-talk.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Or like when you realize like it's because there is a point of return or no return where it's just like not productive to pick at it
Yeah.
anymore. It's like gain what you need to gain from it, but then also have the self-awareness to know like to move on from it. And I think that can be almost like that can spell death for a lot of people's passions because they don't
Absolutely.
know how to fall, like they fall prey to that trap. And it's like, no, like just shut the fuck up and just do it anyway. Just shut, like, because that's the thing that will kill you is your
Yeah.
own internal dialogue will fucking destroy you if you do not know how to have the awareness to be like, I hear you, but like, we're going to can it right now because like my longevity of this passion involves me not getting stuck underneath of myself.
Right.
yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
Find a
And
good
it's very
balance of
easy
it.
to get stuck underneath of yourself.
Yes.
So it's almost about like, I almost feel like it's like a game where it's like you need to not, the only rule of the game is to not get tripped up by yourself.
The only rule of the game is to not get tripped up from yourself.
And you're very smart. Your brain's incredibly smart. Your emotions
That's
are super
right.
smart. Everything within
That's
you is
right.
designed to trip you up. So your only goal to win this game is to not let yourself
And
trip
I say
you
that
up.
to myself all the time. Like,
Me
no
too.
one can sabotage me but myself.
Every
like, no
day.
one is going to fuck me up unless it's
Yep.
me.
Especially
It
if
is
when you're
me.
feeling emotional or if you are hypercritical,
Yeah.
because we all fall into those hypercritical
Yeah.
spirals. And that's when I'm like, all right, bitch, like, yeah, like you're feeling bad about yourself, like you're seeing all these things you could improve upon, blah, 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 blah. Are we stopping though? No.
Right.
No.
And
we're
I
not
tell
stopping.
myself, like, okay, instead of like sitting here, like fucking whining about it, like get your shit together and make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Do, like you said, do the work.
Do the
like,
work.
You need to do the work to
Don't
make sure
stop
this
at the
doesn't happen
pity
again.
party. You need to get past. It's fine to feel down on yourself.
Just cry and move on.
Have a little tantrum, be upset, have a pity party, do whatever you need to do. Do whatever you need to fucking do. But if you let that little
if you dwell on it, then it just literally becomes a spiral.
You just let yourself get tripped up by your fucking self.
Realize the mistake and learn from it.
Yeah.
And
just get, and it's really that, people, it's not that simple. It really is that you just need to give yourself the permission. Just give yourself the permission for it to be that simple.
Give yourself the permission, give yourself the grace to be able to know that you're human.
Be compassionate with yourself. Yeah. It's just, and honestly, I think that's one of the hardest things. It's so simple. After you've learned it, it's so simple. But before you've actually taken the step and the power to exert that kind of discipline and almost parent, we talked about inner child and stuff like that. Yeah. Being the parent for yourself and being no, we're shutting this down now, because our future depends on us shutting this down right now.
And I think we talked about committing to doing the work on yourself is difficult. And I think, it doesn't always look pretty. And I feel that's what people want. It's I just have to think this way and all of a sudden things are going to be better.
They want it to be easy. They want it to be pretty. It's it doesn't always look like that. It is work.
Right.
That's why it's called work.
Sometimes the
you have to work on it. It's a work in progress.
Loving yourself on a day where you don't actually really love yourself is difficult as hell.
We talked about that. The discipline. We talked about how some days self-love means just tolerating yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is what it looks like.
It's just almost recognizing. That's it. You don't have to be let's pretend or whatever. It's right now I'm recognizing this feeling.
Yeah.
You might need to go through those feels and then be able to just move past it at some point.
And I don't know about you guys, but when I feel that way or if I feel something, I talk to other people about it to make sure that, it's helpful to me to kind of self-assess, am I in my feelings about this? Or if other people experience this? We had a conversation earlier before the show started about a situation that happened to me. And I really just wanted to bounce it off of someone to
get some
realize, am I feeling this way? Is this me internalizing this, making it personal? Or is this something that is valid and that, is this person's
really
shit
smart,
or is it my own?
Because you're using it as a way to see where your self-awareness is at. Versus I think a lot of people can do that and they're doing it to dump a little bit, which isn't bad, but it's
but
more,
then there's a line too of
there's totally a line to it, and that's a whole other conversation about dumping on people emotionally, and they still need to consent and all that stuff. But I like that you're kind of you use me as a soundboard to hear yourself more, which I think I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but sometimes just especially thoughts that are in your head that you're kind of obsessed. Saying it out loud to somebody else can honestly really make it more comprehensible and digestible to you.
And by someone that validates your feelings, but also doesn't
feed into it.
Yes, doesn't feed into it. And that was very helpful because you didn't feed into it. You validated that I felt this way.
You're okay, yes. I feel I try to, when I find myself wondering am I just going crazy or what's going on, I try to just put myself in. I like to look at things from different angles.
Yes.
Okay, if I was this person, how was this situation for them and how was this situation for that person? If I had just walked into this situation, what would it look like? So I'm I'm working on trying to confide in other people, sharing the feels, but I do feel I can look at it from different angles and then kind of make it. I talk to myself a lot. There's a lot of in the shower talking to myself of let's see what's going on and let me look at it as not myself to see if this feels valid enough.
It's a lot of self-processing before you decide to bring it, which I agree. You should, before you bring it to somebody else, because it becomes more real as soon as you bring it to somebody else to talk. So it's examining it thoroughly from internally to with the awareness that you have, I think is really important before you, because as soon as you bring it to somebody else, it's two different awarenesses looking at it.
Right.
Yep.
And you need to be open to looking at it with a microscope before you bring it to somebody else to also look at it with a microscope.
Right.
Because then you both will find more things. Because in theory, whoever you're talking to is going to help you just dissect it more and not just fuel whatever flame or fire.
And that's why we have therapy.
Yes, that is why we have therapy.
I will say in conclusion, though, I found that, after bouncing it off several people, it was not me. This person's just an asshole.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
it wasn't me.
I agree.
And it always feels good to be I'm not crazy.
But it's good that you were able, because some people don't even they don't do that precursory check before they go and fucking then live their life and act accordingly with the new information that they're integrating. Like you wanted to make sure before that you were actually like that you weren't just having an emotional moment or that you
like,
weren't
is this
just
me? Like, is
having
this
an
my
off
shit?
day.
Or like...
No, super rude. But like, but it's because a lot of people don't even do that. And then like the drama that comes from people not doing that precursor, like, are my emotions valid and should I be like, are they valid and do they deserve to have a place out here or should I just be processing them internally right now?
Everyone needs to talk to their friends and their therapist.
Oh yeah,
there are so many things.
We just had that the other day. Me, Rich, and Quo. We had a conversation last night about like a certain situation, and I was expressing myself, and I'm like, y'all know who I am. Am I tripping or are my feelings like?
Yeah.
Like legit, like
because you can gaslight yourself.
Are they
with
justified?
Stuff like this? The more intelligent
and it
you
might
are,
be
the
like
more
a little bit like, yes, you were a little bit valid, but then you kind of took a little overboard, or maybe you should think about this or that. Like, be able to like have those self checks and friend checks. I'm like, if a lot of people talked about their actions,
after that conversation, like,
because there's less questions. There's,
it'd be
you
great
know,
if more people did that, because then that would have been so.
It takes a lot of work. And I also will say, like, we're very
Facts.
lucky because we have a lot of people that are like great sounding boards. Like, because there are people that are dumping and sounding board against people that aren't helping them in any productive way.
Yeah, they're just like, go do this crazy thing. It's great.
It's like, no, it's like, where is that coming from? Like, why do you want to do the crazy? Like, what? Okay, like, let's examine this before.
Telling them to go light someone's house on fire.
Oh.
And you don't even know that person. You know? Like, why don't you say, put the lighter down and let's talk about
Hand
why.
me the lighter fluid.
You want to do that?
Baldwin, put the shovel down.
And if you feel...
I already dug this hole, though. It's 8 feet.
If the body's already there, we'll get rid of it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, before you get to the body, bounce it off of somebody and figure out... Maybe we can damage your stuff instead of taking a life.
Maybe we could
there's
key
a lot
your
of
car.
things. Yeah, like let's just
Maybe
talk
we
about
could
it.
hire up the mafia. Like,
Maybe send them a bag of poop. You know, you don't need to bring out the shovel yet.
Yeah, shout out Jorah. I get a nice little poop from Jorah.
Fucking fucker! We're not talking about Jorah
We have
today.
a Jorah story.
Oh, what did Jorah do today? You got triggered when I said that.
What did Jorah do
You
today?
got triggered.
Welcome to the show. What did Jorah do today? Oh, fucking bastard! Okay.
Damn, we got here early in the morning.
He's retreating back to puppy stages. He ran away to... Well, he didn't run away
He ran
twice.
away again?
He gets bored. So if he's bored, he's like, I'm going to go over there. Apparently, there's a lot of stray cats on my street now. And he just wandered off into the abyss. And I got a phone call. I got your dog. Thankfully, because he had his collar on. And I was just like, that fucking bastard. And of course, you can't be like super Dominican in front of white people. So I was just like, oh, thank you for having my dog. I once he's in my car, I was like, you little bastard, don't do that again. Because you got to, discipline. And then,
Because, discipline.
so we've been putting him on, just like a lead outside so that he doesn't run off. Like, we'll stand there and he'll still walk off. So, like, we're putting him on a lead. But then this little asshole's like, well, then I'm not going to go potty. I'm just going to sit here on my butt and pretend like I'm being cute.
He's smart. He's a stubborn, smart dog.
He's a fucking asshole is what he is. And so I'm like, okay, fine. You don't got to go potty. Get a yeast infection, asshole. And so today he didn't go potty. He's just like, I don't know what to do. I'm sitting here in the aisles and everyone is going potty around me and I can't go. And he held it till he couldn't hold it anymore. And he went potty inside. This is a potty trained dog. And I was like, I was ready to be like, put him outside.
He's trying to get his way.
I literally told my room, I was like, put him outside, leave him out there. She's like, I don't want the neighbors to call the fucking... I was like, it's not abuse. He needs to go use the potty. Put him outside. Put a sweater on him if it's cold. He'll sit there and he'll learn his lesson.
Yeah, he's too smart for his own good. That's
getting flashbacks from my mom. That's crazy.
I was like... Yes.
One day you have to bring Jorah in.
I'm not.
Oh,
he
just
doesn't
kidding.
get
No,
a
never
fucking
mind.
treat.
Jorah's
This would
not-
be. He loves people. You don't have to be around no
never
one. I'll
mind.
put him into the basement.
Isn't he like kind of a ladies' man? Doesn't he love the ladies?
He loves the guys. Actually, I think
Oh,
he does. He loves the guys.
Oh.
Loves the men.
I love Jorah. I know we're mad at him right now, but he's really cute.
Yeah, he's fucking adorable.
He's
I love
fucking
him.
mad
He's just
adorable.
a pain in my fucking asshole. I gotta use that cream or whatever. He's my hemorrhoid.
Preparation H on Jorah. Tighten him up a little
Well,
bit.
I'm sorry I brought up Joy. I didn't know it was going to trigger you that much.
Me either. I didn't know.
Do you have any pets, Mark? Do you have any animals
I
that
do.
They're
Oh,
like
you do?
children.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I have a 7-year-old American bully. His name's Remo.
Weebo.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Similar situation though. Like he doesn't like being out on the lead. He likes kind of going and doing his own thing.
Free
Like,
range.
Yeah, it's
where
just
we had
like,
the snow like last week, he would not go to the bathroom anywhere. Like he wanted us to pretty much like shovel out a whole like little
like, actually
area
have
of
the grass,
bathroom.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
bougie.
Or like he won't go if like you don't walk him. Like we have a lead to go in the backyard, he won't go. He'll just sit there and stare at you.
yeah. I'm like, dude.
They know too.
you
They
know you
what
have
they're-
to go. So it's just like, and you know, inside is not good. Like as soon as he did it, he was just like,
And just
oh my
that talk
God.
to your dogs is crazy because like I'm the type of person too where like I will like just add up the dog years into human years. I'm like, you're 56 years old. Cut this shit out. Like,
I was like, you're way too old for this shit.
like you're 56 human years old. Cut this shit out.
That's funny.
I was like,
They just
being a
look at
little
you. They
rebel.
just like look at you. Like, yeah, I know. I don't care.
Well, I'm like, well, you're still going to be on the lead, so I don't know what to tell you. You
feel
lost
like-
your privileges of being free.
Do you think you're gonna win this war?
Fuck yeah, what
You're
the
not.
hell?
You're
I
not.
can give and take
No,
as
like,
life.
you're not.
excuse me.
Amanda, that's kind of a crazy question. Of course she's
I
going to
don't
win.
know. Jorah
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
he's got some. Jorah sounds
Not
Yeah,
unless he
I
wants to
don't
get
know.
fed and a place to sleep. I better fucking win this.
Yeah,
You're gonna be in the
you see how
paper if
Steph's
you
talking
keep
about
this.
this? She got
Honestly,
you.
I kind of believe in
win.
Jorah's endurance.
Yeah, I will break him.
I also believe in your ability to break him as well.
I will
Yes.
break him. It's not the first person I've broke. It won't be the last.
The first dog.
Out of love.
I
Broken
was gonna
out of
say, if
love.
you didn't say that, we're gonna need to play that toxic sound effect. in a second.
Toxic.
out of love.
Toxic.
Oh my god!
That one. There it is.
There it is.
Okay. Well,
Again, avid listener. So
I
I love it. Well, I'm going to ask you
Appreciate that, Mark.
one simple question to.
Here we
I feel like we're
go.
kind of winding down the show
We're
right
winding
now.
down the
So I
show
have one simple
now.
question. Can you list your favorite trends and your least favorite trends right now
Yeah.
in terms of makeup?
I think, like I said, a trend that'll never go out of style for me is contouring. I'm always a big fan of an ombre lip.
Ooh, an ombre lip.
Yeah, just.
That just kind of started recently, didn't it?
I mean, it's been around, but like it's made a resurgence. I
Okay.
think me personally, as a makeup artist, one thing that I'll never go without is blush. I'm a big blush person, so
Wait, so okay, can you give us like because I know where you put blush on your face really matters. Like where
Placement
are your
is- yeah,
where are your
placement.
favorite places to put blush, or where do you recommend to put blush?
it really depends on the face shape. I like to do like
So like so we have different do we have different face shapes?
Yeah.
I think so. So okay, so I have like a heart shaped face, I think. So for someone that's like heart shaped, what would you recommend?
I would probably, working on you, put blush on the apple of on
Like
the
right
apples of
here,
your cheeks.
like
Yeah,
when I smile.
Yeah.
These little guys. Okay.
Look at me.
I would do a C shape just to bring a little bit up on the temple.
Ooh, like kind of around
Yes.
the outer shell of her
And just
eye.
so a little bit is on the temple into like the hairline a little bit. That's like my like main thing. I love doing that on everybody, but
Like the
it
blush
doesn't
up
work
into
on everybody.
the hairline.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
What are some trends that you think are hard to pull off?
I'm biased because it takes me forever to do it, and sometimes I can't. Graphic liner is something that like it takes me
Dude, it's
forever. And
hardcore.
like I said, I don't have like a fine art or an art background.
You need
at
like
all.
a really steady hand. For
Yeah.
that. It's like you're basically painting on
And like
the
you've
face.
seen the size of these fucking hands. Like I can't use like a little brush and like my hand is shaking and it just doesn't. Yeah,
See the size of these fucking hands.
like it just doesn't do. Like I can't. I've tried a number of times.
Okay, so graphic liner just ain't your
Yeah,
thing.
I don't want to say I can't. It just takes me a long
Yeah.
time to do it. I think that's really the only one outside of like the different products. But I feel like a lot of the trends come from like things that we do now. It's just
Yeah.
easier technically for everyone else to be able to do them. So
Right.
I'm pro trend.
What's something you can do real quick? Like
Here we go.
You can whip it out really quickly.
Complexion. I'm really good at like matching foundations really quickly. Like my friends and family actually like make me go to them with places to like make me go to places with them to like pick out foundations.
Because it can be really tricky too. Like, do you do like the neck matching? Like, how do you generally approach matching
It depends
complexion?
on skin tone usually. Like, you know, people of color, especially deeper complected, medium to deep, have different skin tones everywhere. You have different pieces of complexion all over your face.
Right.
So I don't want to say it's difficult to match. It just takes a little bit of work. And then you actually have to really just kind of reconcile with a match and use various different shades to get what you need.
Literally will build different tones.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you won't do a
You have to
that's
build dimension in. I don't ever want anyone to be like,
So you're not like
flat-faced.
flat colored. Oh,
No.
wow. That's really cool.
All right, we're gonna have to go shopping.
Honestly, yeah.
I like mix foundation colors together. I
can't wait for you to do my full makeup because I feel like I've never had that like where it's like you account for because at least for my face, like my face is so light compared to like the rest of me. So I'm like I can't wait to like actually sit down and do like a full face with you one day because I can't wait to see where you really feel like you shine the most.
I'm like mixing foundations. I'm mixing different
so
brands of foundations,
I love
different
that.
formulas.
That's awesome. That made me
need
think
that.
one more thing to ask you guys, just because that made me think of something else I heard from another photographer a while ago. And like being that we're all people of color here and like you're a makeup artist and photographer yourself, I think this is a great question. So I worked with a photographer for a while who had he was a really great photographer, super high-end retoucher, like probably one of the best that I've ever worked with. But he said that it's actually really challenging. You need to learn and have different skill sets to photograph women of color.
You do.
And he said like he would like look at some pictures in my portfolio and be like, this person doesn't know what they're doing with women of color. This person doesn't know what they're doing. Like, and he would point out like where they're not being lit correctly. And I didn't, as a woman of color, I didn't know that. And then he pointed that out, and I'm like, shit, like. And now hearing you say this,
to do the same things that they would for a fair complexion.
yeah.
You know, there's people they're like, I like this filter. I've run across that as I was getting into the modeling world. There's a certain photographer, they have a certain aesthetic, and that's fine. But then they were using all these filters and these things, and then using the same thing for people of color, and like it does not work.
Yeah.
And instead of going in and changing it, they just kind of put it out there, and it was just like, you're not a photographer for people of color if you're just going to do the same
Right.
thing.
I'll say
Every
that was
person is
so
different.
important for me and the photographers that I work with, and even down to choosing my representation. Like my agent is also a photographer, an amazing photographer, Stanley Disarms, amazing. And it was very important for me that I align myself with people that can photograph any skin tone, can light any skin tone, can do makeup on any skin tone, because there really is a disparity in how, you know, women of color are photographed that get makeup. I don't ever want to contribute to someone either being very fair or very deep that comes into anywhere that I work that can't get matched for a foundation or is not lighted correctly. So it's something that, you know,
And
is in
it is
every
a
aspect of what
discrepancy.
we
I've
do.
gotten to several shoots where they're just like, oh, we don't have people that can do your hair. Or we don't have someone that
I've
can
been
do
to
your
certain-
makeup.
yeah.
Or things like that where it's just
Yeah.
like, you know, rather than trying to trust someone, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll just do it myself.
Come
And that's the
prepared.
most,
then-
Yeah.
like,
It's like, you can't necessarily call you a professional if you can't
Absolutely.
do all
Account
different
for
shades.
every
like,
shade
it
of
just doesn't make
person.
sense.
Yeah.
Like, how is that professional?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is still a constant struggle that you see, regardless of seeing more people of color in the limelight. It's just,
So
it's not accessible for everyone. It still isn't.
We'll go off on a whole nother tangent.
That's
if I
a
talk
whole
about,
different
I was gonna
episode.
Say, because
I was
like,
like, I've
even
got a lot
just
to
hiring
say.
like creators of color for these positions is still very difficult. Just from my
yeah.
personal point of view, getting, you know, creators and artists of color in these large venues and these really big events has been difficult. Like I find it very, very difficult to get hired for a lot of these things where they're casting models of color and putting them with artists that don't know how to do
I
what
feel
they
like
do
there'd be
on those
such a
folks.
huge, just like I don't know, just to
It's
me,
difficult.
That's something that I was surprised to learn being like a woman of color, and like now as like I'm involved in the industry more, I just feel like it's very interesting that like that there's that huge gap.
Well, I'll say, like, even walking into sets and various things to do shows, and I will sometimes be the only artist of color there, and at least 30 or 40% of the models are of color.
Yeah.
So
That's so crazy to me.
I mean, even just everyday life. Like my sister tells me all the time, she's a travel nurse and she's based out of Seattle. Like she struggles to find a salon just in that area.
imagine.
So
Yeah.
she loves when she gets stationed in Florida or is stationed here on the East Coast because then she can actually find a Dominican salon or something to like help her out with her hair because she just has to end up just getting braids from her friend because she
Right.
can't find a place that can do her hair.
So fascinating. I don't have that problem as much anymore, but I remember growing up that was a huge issue, was like not
it's really
finding.
difficult.
I'd like walk into a salon that's just like operated and owned by like all white people. And like they'd all look at me and they'd all do like the
Who's
like
gonna
the
take
look
her?
around the room. Oh,
I ain't gonna take her.
Who's
Go
gonna
take her.
take this person that just walked in? It's like that. It was just so obvious. And like, you don't know. Like I was like 10. I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like I'm just trying to get my mom just took me here to get my hair done. Like, and she's white. She doesn't fucking know. Like she's like,
I was
she doesn't
thankfully
know any
blessed that
better.
my mom and my aunt do hair growing up,
that's
so I never had to go
nice.
to a salon. But then when I was living in California and my mom was over here, like I had to find a salon. It's just like I don't know where the fuck
Yeah.
to look. Like
Yeah.
where do you even do that? Because they don't like advertise.
That's
to
such
be
like a horrible experience and just goes
Oh.
into like kind of like the other piece of work I do is just like activism and I think of like what I do almost as activism and active activism and community service, just even just showing up to a lot of these things where they don't have other artists
Yeah.
of color. Like I said, I've gone to shows where I've been the only artist of color and I've had people come up to me, models like, I'm so glad you're here. Like,
Oh, wow.
you don't know like how glad I am to see someone that looks like me,
Yeah.
you know, here doing this so I don't have to bring my own makeup. I don't have to bring my own hair products. I have someone that understands kind of like what I'm going through and we can just, you know, get through this together, which is really, really powerful. Like I did a show over the summer where, again, I was the only artist of color and just, you know, I had a lot of the models come up to me like, I'm so glad that you're here. And like, I'm so glad that you're here to help me. Like, I want to work with him. Like, I just,
Right, and it's like, I
hard.
feel like that kind of ties back into we can, well, I think I mentioned like there's a lot of perception from the outside for like modeling and photography and like makeup artistry that it's like very superficial.
Yes.
Because it's very just like surface value. And like, I'm sure you've had this, like people make assumptions because you're a model or like people have like their own views of what it means to be a model or a makeup artist and all this stuff. But I feel like I already know this because I'm involved in it, but I'm always continually surprised again and again how like just how much more meaning and depth there is than people realize
Absolutely.
to like make up, or even you just saying like that you're in this space and you help other people of color feel safer and more seen and more accounted for just by being present at a show. Like, yeah, you're only doing makeup and yeah, maybe it's superficial, but like there's so much more behind like
Right.
why we do what we do. And there's so much meaning and depth that goes into it that's not superficial. That's like way beyond that. And I feel like you can resonate with that deeply. I know that I can. I definitely know that you can, but it's one of those things I think is so important to talk about. Just like, yeah, it might be makeup, but like it's a lot. It might be modeling,
Yeah.
it might be, it's so much
and I
more
think
than that.
I really worked to be the person that I wish I had or had seen when I was coming
Yeah.
up.
Same,
Yeah.
same thing. Even just being at competition
Yeah.
yesterday with dancers, like you don't see a lot of dancers of color, especially in that
No.
kind of scene, because
Yeah.
it's just like it's just a bunch of white kids running around, and it's like, oh, that's great. So when I see a child, and I'm like, here's a child of color, and they're like shining, and they're great. Like this
Right.
is amazing to see, and I want them to see me and
Yeah.
being like, here I am in this prominent role, doing this thing, and this could be you as well. Like I like being.
Well, and I also feel like with that as well, we also have the task of, you know, something that's also very important to me is being able to do lighter or fairer skin tones as well. Because I get a lot of people that feel like, you know, he's a makeup artist of color. He
They'll
can't
just
do,
assume,
like,
they'll assume that you only cater to
Yes.
that. Yeah.
and it's like I can do everything.
When you're more valuable
Yeah.
and like you're more inclusive, being able, knowing that you
You
can
should
handle
want to do
anyone.
everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You call yourself a professional makeup artist or
And
professional
I seek
hair,
those things
professional
out.
whatever it
So,
is.
like, anyone
you
that
want to do
watches my
everything.
Instagram stories, I pretty much like I pose questions for people every week, and a question I get every single week is, who are the celebrities that you want to do makeup on? And one of them now at this point, it's like a running joke with the people that follow me is, I want to do makeup for Chelsea Handler. I love Chelsea Handler.
Oh yes.
I just love her anyway, but it would just be so fun to just, I also don't see a lot of makeup artists of color doing white celebrities.
Right. Like, yeah. Which is interesting because there's so many men men that dominate the field that are, doing it on women.
Yeah.
So you would think it could cross, it has the ability to cross even more lines, obviously,
Yeah.
if we're going to be that way. But yeah, I just, this is all so fascinating. And I just, something that I was thinking of while you were talking about this is I think it's so important to have people like you kind of pioneering it and showing up that are inclusive to everybody. It's not just I'm not just catering to people that look like me.
Not to cut you off, but I'm going to look at the camera
No, you're
also. Chelsea Handler, I've been in your DMs a whole bunch of times. I'm going to use this. I'm going to forward this clip to you after. I'm going to need you to hire me.
Please.
Yes.
I mean, let's all
travel
just tag
all
her
around
on
the
Instagram
country.
and be like,
Can we please? No, we should totally tag her.
I'll cut this
Followers.
clip and I'll tag.
God,
we can tag her.
Chelsea.
Every week, someone asks me, if you could do celebrity, who do you want? And I'm like, Chelsea Handler, and I
Yes.
tag her in it. She
you go.
sees them sometimes. I'm like, we got to stop this, though, before she blocks me, and I just can't get to the bag. But
No, we're capturing
Then
on
we'll do
camera.
it.
We're manifesting you doing Chelsea Handler's makeup.
Manifest,
Got on camera.
Well, we'll definitely have to have you come back for an episode because I feel like we
Yeah.
could just chat all
I already
day,
told
every
him.
day.
I already told him 2 years from now or something. We'll have a totally
Yeah.
different set. It'll be a totally different vibe.
I'm ready for it. 'Cause
But it was
Chelsea, I got to say one more time,
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yes. Make sure she
If
heard
you dated 50 Cent, you can have a black makeup artist.
That's right. So thank you for joining
I
us
love
today.
it. It's been great to have Mark White, pro hair and makeup artist, here with us. Thank you for all
Thank
of
you
your
so much for
wisdom.
having me. I had such
It's
a
been
really good
so-
time.
Thank
Such
you
a
for the
good
beautiful
time.
faces. Thank you for the amazing lashes. Who are the lashes by again?
Badass lashes from Beth and Shay.
And with that,
Yes.
good.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Are you going to send us out with your announcer voice or something? Like, you got to give me something.
Please remember to keep it sexy with your self-perception
That's
and
right.
savage with your self-development
That's
today.
right. And we'll see you next time. That's all, folks.
Bye.
Yes, I love that.
Savage and Sexy is presented by A Vibe Entertainment and produced by Baldwin. The only reason we got this far, because y'all know we ain't got our shit together. The Savage and Sexy is self-funded. If you like the show and want to support us, subscribe to our Patreon, The Savage and Sexy, or donate on Anchor and GoFundMe. You can find us on Instagram, The Savage and the Sexy. Email us at thesavageandthesexy@gmail.com. Thank you for being savage and sexy with us, and we'll see you next time.